forced the vote. Sure, it was a failure.
No. And in case you don't know, and you haven't seen the latest polls, the American people hold the President of the United States in contempt. They hold this institution in contempt. They hold the Republican Party in contempt. They hold the Democratic Party in contempt. They think that maybe, given all of the crises facing this country, it's about time that there was some bold leadership here and that this institution made some hard choices.
That isn't what it meant.
Well, what did it mean then? Explain.
It meant that it's indicative of low-resolution thinking.
The truth of the matter is that when you look at some of my policies, the truth of the matter is that when
that isn't what it meant.
The truth of the matter is that when you look at some of my policies, in a lot of ways, Richard Nixon was more liberal than I was.
That isn't what it meant. Indicative of low-resolution thinking.
I hate the white man. He's of the devil. He was made in a cave in the worst parts of Europe, produced from the lowest forms of humanity.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree, Every day it is time for us to agree. It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree. It is time for us to...
Should we have done that sooner?
We are doing it.
But should we have done it sooner?
We are doing it.
Created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Can you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know. And then they have cans of soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup from my family. They're so innocent. This is soup from my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup for my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people.
Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the votes.
I eat extra sharp. That's what I eat.
Honestly, Sam, if I could just get this sentence out, we can talk about Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow, and I still believe in force the vote.
Everybody comes in, your grandmother, everybody comes in, everybody comes in, your grandmother, your father, your mother, your brother, your cousins. They come in so easily, so crazy, so crazy.
Hello, users, and welcome to another episodic in style goddamn son of a bitching motherfucking goddamn X2 2X. Woo! All right. So we got a show here today, folks. I've got a show. Once again, y'all have nothing. That's why you're here watching me. Otherwise, if you had anything literally at all going on in your fucking life, you wouldn't be watching my show at 10 o'clock in the goddamn morning on a weekday. So let's be honest. We're all sons of goddamn bitches, in this goddamn stream. So, holy Macintosh. All right. So we got a whole host. We got a whole host of users in the chat. We've got Courtney. We've got Phil. Hello. In the chat. We've got Paladin. We've got Rialon. We've got Louis and Hyrule. $5 super chat. Can you show your 5-star feetsies? I have socks on, but yes, you can see Beaker. Here is Beaker. My socks. It's got lint on it. But here's Beaker. He is a Muppet. There you go. So, thank you for that. Appreciate it. We got Patty. Patty is in the chat. That's great. Good to, we've got Ali CIA in the goddamn. Hello, Elise. We got Ali CIA and Elise. Love in the goddamn. And we've got Johnny Too Late FTV. It's like a fucking clan tag. And Halo, you know, like, you know, what clan are you part of? I'm part of the FTV clan. That's what that is. It's not too far from the Ku Klux Klan, but you know, it's in the same ballpark. We got Kath Rhine, also known as Stupid Bitch. And then we've got, who else do we have? We got Abner. Abner is in the chat. We've got, who else? We got Mila. I think there's a Mila. We got Dr. Strange. We've got Matt Strackbean. Who else do we have? Is that it? We got Bob. Bob's here. We got Tyler. We got Witch Shunt in the goddamn. In the goddamn. I originally had 5-star feet. Let's just, for those of you that don't know, I originally had 5-star feet. And then my wiki feed was bombarded by trolls, and they pushed my rating down to 4 stars. So, I mean, let's be honest, before I got bombarded by trolls, I did have, and I do deserve a 5-star wiki feed rating. That's very true. So, okay, so we've got like a whole... Alright, so folks, I did not know this yesterday. Well, I knew it was happening at some point. And so, so apparently yesterday there was some like debate on the Sam Cedar show. I'm still on last week's episodes. I haven't caught up yet. But a bunch of people, and by that I mean 6 people, that I remember sent me messages telling me to do clips on the Sam Cedar show. I forget what his show is called. And so they had like some guy on, I don't know, some guy. And some people want me to talk about that. So, please don't. I mean, it depends. I mean, if the chat wants me to, I will. But that's I've gotten that request approximately 6 times. And that's a lot for something. So, that's a lot for something like that. What am I doing? Maxie! Maxie! Maxie's having nightmares. Max! Maxie, come on over here, buddy. He's not coming. Maxie! Maxie! He's not coming. It's not happening. All right. Who are we talking about? A boot. Got a lemon seltzer here. Kroger brand. Good brand. My doggy has nightmares, so like he like screams in his sleep. I don't know if it's audible on the mic, but he has like whisper screams. He goes like, because I presume it's because he was abused. So, but I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing that other dogs do. Max is my first dog. I got shouted out and got called a KKK member. I feel so validated. There you goddamn go. I mean, really, that's welcome to the left, I should say. That's how we do it here. We wouldn't be left-wingers if we didn't constantly call each other Klansmen. All right, folks, so we got a goddamn here. Let's talk about some news. We've got some news. I've got some news. This is something I'm going to weigh in. I'm going to weigh in, folks. When life gives you lemons, relax and sip on a refreshing lemony seltzer. Got lemon seltzer here, folks. All right, folks, I'm going to weigh in. All right. Spotify to pull Neil Young's music after artists' objections to Joe Rogan. So this has been a developing story over the last week or so, and I now find it, might as well weigh in now, right? Because, now I've got more to talk about here. The artist is expected to lose 60% of his streaming revenue by pulling his catalog off of Spotify. I don't know Neil Young, I'm going to be honest, but this is a cool move. Also, I'm sure he doesn't, what's his net worth? I'm just going to look this up in my other monitor here. Neil Young net worth. I'm sure 60% of revenue. Okay, he's worth approximately $70 million, according to a cursory Google search, and he's an old musician, so he's gonna be fine, okay? But anyway, let's read this, because this is an interesting fucking story. Spotify is in the process of removing Neil Young's catalog of music from its service after the artist published, then took down, an open letter with an ultimatum. Deal with the vaccine misinformation coming from Joe Rogan's podcast or lose Young's music. 2 days after the letter was published, Spotify is now in the process of removing Young's music from the streaming service. A Spotify spokesperson told The Hollywood Reporter, "We want all the world's music and audio content to be available to Spotify users. With that comes great responsibility in balancing both safety for listeners and freedom for creators. We have detailed..." Now, okay, here's the problem with that. This is the problem with that. Listen, okay. It's not like Joe Rogan just happens to have a podcast on Spotify. It's not like, oh, these are just people that are, they disagree about, what football team really deserves to win the World Series or whatever, okay? It's not about that, okay? Spotify went out of their way to pay, what was it, $100 million? They went out of their way to try to get Joe Rogan to have exclusivity on their platform. So again, this isn't it's two indie rappers that are having a feud and someone releases a diss track and it's this isn't like that, okay? Spotify has a gigantic 9-figure contract with Joe Rogan, okay? That's the point here. But so I want you to understand here, that they're gonna try to go well, free speech, bro. That's not relevant here, but okay. With that comes great responsibility in balancing both safety for listeners and freedom for creators. We have detailed content policies in place, and we removed over 20,000 podcast episodes related to COVID. Since the start of the pandemic, we regret Neil's decision to remove his music from Spotify, but hope to welcome him back soon. So again, we've removed over 20,000 podcast episodes related to COVID since the start of the pandemic. That doesn't mean anything. It's better than zero, yes, but also it doesn't mean anything. How many podcasts are uploaded to Spotify every day? How many of them get more than 5 listens? How many of them get more than 50 listens? Okay? How many of them are Joe Rogan? Right? That's the thing. None of that matters. Now, again, do I support censorship? No, I don't. But this is not a situation where censorship has any regard. This is Neil Young chose, hey, I don't like this. I don't want to be associated with this. I'm going to get the fuck out of there. He is exercising his free speech as an artist to say, I don't want to associate with these clown balls. I want to get the fuck out of here. Spotify is also just a terrible platform as well for creators. They don't give you that much money in comparison to other platforms. But that's another thing. Anyway, I don't really care about, the rest of this article. It just kind of sums up the things we already know here. But again, the thing here is that Joe Rogan is literally spreading vaccine and disinformation. He got fact-checked live, and made a big shebang over it. Now, he's doing an apology tour or something. At least that's what the media... his media manipulation wants you to believe, because he's still having regular COVID discussions. He had Jordan Peterson on not too long ago, which people wanted me to review that show as well, but goddamn. And so again, this guy regularly, yes, he might apologize for one small thing somewhere, but first of all, okay, you're going to apologize for being a dipshit. Are you going to then make amends? Or are you going to go on and say, like, everyone in my audience get vaccinated now? I was wrong. Because he hasn't done that. That hasn't happened yet. Right? And again, it's also, this isn't a situation where Spotify is, like, just hosting creators who disagree on things that don't matter. They paid Joe Rogan, and this is about a pandemic and vaccination. This is again, it's a very serious discussion. And again, they also, very importantly, went out of their way to give Joe Rogan money. So it's not like, again, it's two indie rappers that are just like, they just happen to be using Spotify instead of like Bandcamp or something. Like, that's not the situation, but that's how they're trying to pretend it is. But anyway, I agree with Neil Young. That's pretty cool. So I wanted to weigh in on that discourse, on that goddamn discourse. We got some discourse in the house, folks. Got some goddamn discourse. My power was only off for 35 minutes this time. Funny, because they sent us a notification that they are jacking up the prices by 38%. Holy fuck. Holy goddamn. Yeah, I legitimately have been censored by big tech. I have gotten, that hurt my fucking throat a little bit. Jesus. Again, folks, I will probably be doing a review of this Sam Cedar show debate. Because one, I'm going to be honest, I find it entertaining. At the end of the day, this is entertaining for me. So this is entertaining. So I'm going to be doing it. But also people have requested, I guess I'm a part of this in a little bit of a way. I'm a part of the lore. I'm a part of the lore because this guy debated me, so people want to hear my reaction. So I'm going to look through Google News, see if I can find anything interesting. Breyer is going to retire. I don't know if anyone cares, but that's good. I like that. I really am hopeful that this is like the Kamala Harris VP resignation becoming a SCOTUS justice. I hope that that's true. I really hope that that's true, just because it would be funny. Let's see. I don't have clips. I mean, my thing is I'm gonna watch it anyway. I might as well watch it on stream. That's my thing. Like, I can watch it while I play video games, or I can watch it on stream and monetize it. That's my thing. That's my position. I've got a position. I'm staking it out. Getting my position. Can someone tell me what the fuck this Wordle bullshit is, by the way? Like, what the fuck is Wordle? Like, I'm seeing, I saw it on Twitter, and then now I'm seeing, news articles about this Wordle crap, and I don't know what it means. Don't know what it means. Oh, shit, this is interesting. All right, folks. This is going to be some spicy discourse. Man removed from heart transplant list for being unvaccinated gets emergency pump. Here we go, folks. It's happening. The 31-year-old father who was removed from the heart transplant list at a Boston hospital because he refuses to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, again, there is a difference, a very big difference, between refusing to get the vaccine and being unvaccinated. There are certain people that have certain immunocompromisation disorders that make them not able to actually take the vaccine, or the vaccine won't have much effect because of the way their body works. That is a different thing compared to the other 90% of the fucking country that doesn't have those issues and can and should get the vaccination but refuses to do so. Get your fucking shot, bitch. You're not a fucking child. You're an adult. We are in society. Do you stop at red lights? Do you stop at stop signs? Do you wear a seatbelt? If the answer to all these questions is yes, then get the fucking vaccine, you stupid ass loser. That being said, let's keep going. DJ Ferguson's family has said he was first on the list to receive the transplant at Brigham and Women's Hospital, but that he was no longer eligible because of his vaccination status. On Tuesday, the father of two received a mechanical heart pump called the left ventricular blah 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 that should keep him alive for up to 5 years. For the foreseeable future, he won't be able to shower. He won't be able to swim. He won't be able to have a life. His father, David Ferguson, told the news outlet. Despite the open heart surgery, Ferguson still needs a transplant urgently due to his rapid blah blah blah. Led down a pathway to stop doing procedures. Like, okay, great. He's deteriorated so much. Oh, poor baby. It's terrible. It sucks. His nurses are amazing. I'm sure they are. Having that dangled over our head last minute. Okay, blah. David Ferguson has said his son doesn't believe in the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, my question is, what the fuck does that mean? You don't believe in it? As in, it doesn't exist? Because I got it. I got 3 of the motherfuckers. I've got, I went to the goddamn pharmacy and I got a fucking vaccine. So what do you mean you don't believe in it? Okay, I'm assuming they don't believe in the efficacy of it because he's a goddamn idiot. But to say that he doesn't believe in it, it's kind of against his basic principles. He doesn't believe in it. It's a policy they're enforcing, so because he won't get the shot, they took him off the list. Like, what? Okay. This is the thing that's fucking crazy here. Is that he's in a hospital. How can you not believe in vaccines and then also go to a hospital for a fucking heart transplant? What? The parents later insisted their son does not oppose vaccines, saying he just worries the jab would complicate his heart condition. I don't know, ask a doctor about that. But I mean, I guess, I understand, they're going to interview, he's not an anti-vaxxer, he has all of his vaccines, and he's an informed patient who's concerned because of his current cardiac crisis. Okay, I'm interested in a doctor saying that. I'm interested in a doctor's analysis of that, personally. We do everything we can to ensure the patient, blah, blah, blah. Ribbon mom and dad. There you go. Patients are not active on the wait list. The hospital denied the candidate could be first on the list, blah, blah, blah. Hospital, okay. Okay. Now, again, if it were the case that he is actually at a doctor-recommended advice, not able to take the vaccine, then obviously this is horrible. But again, I don't care what his parents, who are not doctors, have to say about it. I don't care what he, who is not a doctor, has to say about it. Again, my thing is, again, if you refuse to get vaccinated when you're able to do so, I do believe that you should not be allowed to have a heart transplant. I do believe that you should be kicked out of an ICU bed. I just believe that because, again, we're reading all these stories where people that have genuine medical emergencies, like someone got hit in a car crash, and was rushed to the emergency room, but they were short-staffed and the ICUs were all taken up by COVID patients, particularly that were unvaccinated, right? So it's I don't believe that if I get hit by a car that I deserve to die because some stupid dumb fuck who refused to get vaccinated is taking up an ICU bed. I don't believe that that's okay. Now, again, I also don't believe that if he was unvaccinated because of actual medical advice, he could not have taken the vaccine, otherwise he would have had severe health outcomes or possibly, that's a whole different story. It doesn't, and if that was the case, wouldn't they have quoted a doctor? Wouldn't they have said oh yeah, my son's doctor said this? No. His parents are just yo, my son's not crazy. He's not crazy. Please, I love him. He's not crazy though, but I do love him, but he's not crazy. Please, he's not crazy. I know he sounds crazy. I know there's no one out there that can say he's not crazy except us, and we're going to say he's not crazy. That's my, if he's not crazy, I want to see someone else corroborate this. But anyway, my takeaway, fuck him. That's my takeaway. That's my takeaway. That's interesting, home. That's interesting. Still, I mean, if that's the case, then that's an even better decision. To not, you know, fuck with this guy. That's, I mean, and it sucks. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's all the rest of, like, the other thing is, it's like, it's every anti-vaxxer's fault that this is happening. Like, anti-vaxxers are going to parade this around and go like, but it's every single one of them's fucking fault, because if any of them did literally anything to stop this pandemic, we could have been post-pandemic like a year ago if these motherfuckers in the government, like one or the other, decided to take this shit seriously. But the government decided, fuck it, whatever, and the population of this country decided, fuck it, whatever. So, I mean, if at least one of those, like, if the government decided to take this seriously, maybe we could have been post-pandemic by now, or if the population said the government won't take this seriously, but we're going to do our best on our own. But none of those things happened, right? So that's why these things are occurring. So, hey, it's weird. Yep, I heard that there is a subvariant. There's a subvariant. I'm going to get into this, I'm going to get into this debate thing pretty soon here. To Rialan's dismay. We suck. That's true, Tyler. Specifically you. I've had a problem with you for a while now. Plan to talk about Mao's being banned in Tennessee schools. What is Mao's? Can you like DM me a link or something? Because I don't know what Mao's means. I don't know Mao's. I also don't live in Tennessee, so neither of those things. Yep, this is one hell of a show. A famous comic about the Holocaust, DM incoming. That, okay. I'm assuming it's like about the Holocaust in an educational sense, and Tennessee banned it because they're run by Nazis, right? Alright, folks, let's get into the cringe. I'm ready to cringe. Well, let me take a juicy one real quick. All right, so, folks, I'm ready to cringe. I have been sent this. This occurred yesterday, according to my sources. But before I get into this, I guess it's billed as a debate, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But I want to play this clip real quick first.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
All right, so that was a clip from my debate with as this title puts it, a Jimmy Dore fan. So I debated a Jimmy Dore fan as well, the very same one a couple months ago. And it was a very interesting scenario because, like, it took, like, 3 weeks for it to even happen to begin with. It was, like, back and forth. He couldn't do it, and then he would, like, DM me when I'm, like, getting ready for bed and say, hey, you want to come on my stream and debate me? And it's like, bro, it's, like, fucking 10 o'clock. Like, I'm trying to get some goddamn sleep here. And so You know, it was really bizarre. And then when we did debate, he the whole debate was about like whether or not like trans people are a big enough deal to like, you know, care about. You know, there was a strike over trans rights at you know, at Netflix, and he said that that strike is bad because trans people are bad and no one cares about trans people, and that we should focus on strikes that are good that don't involve trans people. My opinion was that all strikes are good. I don't understand the idea of picking and choosing. That's strange. And he proceeded to like list out about 3 hours about how like trans people are a distraction, and, you know, workers apparently in this country don't care about trans people, and that, you know, that's fine. You know, bigotry is great. Racism is good. You know, transphobia is good. All that good stuff. So again, in the description to this video here on the Sam Seder Show, they refer to him as an American patriot and Marxist-Leninist, Jackson Hinkle. So one of the other things is he calls himself an American patriot. He's a COVID vaccine denier. He's like an anti-mandate person. He hangs around with people that believe that, you know, the election was stolen because they're stupid. Donald Trump did not win the 2020 election. He lost. The election was fine. Joe Biden was the winner. But these are all like, this isn't like this broader like anti-left project going on with like Jimmy Dore at the helm and a lot of these other people. And this guy's an orbiter of it. And again, so I kind of had a really fun time debating him. It was very entertaining. It was a couple months ago, and a lot of people, I've gotten a lot of comments, you know, because that's one of those videos that like people comment on probably once, at least once a week or so. And I've gotten a lot of messages, and now especially since this one happened where he went on the Sam Seder Show. A lot of people have been going back to seeing my conversation with him and how incredibly entertaining it was, at least for me, because like I don't know. But anyway, so I've been told that this was funny. There's really no clips out, so I'm just going to go through the whole thing. So we're going to put it on like 1.25x. I'll maybe increase the speed if I get bored. So let's keep going.
About 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I got IM'd. We take IMs every day, as you know. I got IM'd that a guy named Jackson Hinkle wanted to debate me. And so we have a...
Okay, so now real quick, why am I not getting on the Sam Seder Show? Like, think about it this way, right? This is something that's very important to understand here. Jackson Hinkle, just like by sheer virtue of being a loud, dumb moron, gets 90 minutes on the Majority Report, no charge. He gets on there for free just by virtue of being a loud, annoying, like faux confident douchebag online, right? He gets 90 minutes on a channel with 1 million subscribers. What do I got to do to get on the Sam Seder Show? Like, think about it this way. Like, what's going on here? Like, how come I can't get 90 minutes on the Sam Seder Show, but fucking doofus American patriot gets fucking 90 minutes on the Sam Seder Show? Like, what do I need to do? If someone, like, can we, like, get this, can this be, like, the message here? I need to get on the goddamn Sam Seder Show. That's gonna happen. So, make it happen, folks. I can't, apparently all you have to do is, okay, so I'm announcing right now, I want to debate Sam Seder. Everyone IM him, and then now I should get 90 minutes on the show. So that now it's set in stone. Everyone get their IMs ready. But anyway, let's keep watching.
Fairly open door policy here. People can call in at any time. I suggested that he could call in, or if he wanted to debate me, he could email at majorityreporters@gmail.com. Or
another aspect of this is also cancel culture. Keep this in mind. This is cancel culture. The idea that I'm not allowed on the Sam Seder Show is in fact cancel culture. I've been canceled by the Majority Report, and personally that's a little bit of a I take offense to that. Personally, I do. But let's keep going.
Or tweet at me, and within an hour after the show was over, that segment was clipped, I think by Jackson, and he wanted to, and he said to debate, and so we set it up, and since that time, Bradley, put up that thing that you just gave me. Over that time, he has been very excited to debate. Those are, I think, from Twitter over the past week. Yeah, so please bring them on.
So he also did this with me as well, as he would make these like photos like for like advertising the debates, and then they would constantly like fall through. But I always love how like, you know, he's got like all these really bizarre like photos of himself that are like that he reuses over and over again. Now I get that a lot of YouTubers do that. My personal policy is if I don't use stock thumbnail photos of myself. If I'm making a thumbnail or something, I'll use a photo. Either I'll just take a selfie in that moment, or I'll like take a photo from the video that I'm making a thumbnail of or something. But he's got all these weird like headshots or whatever. I don't know. It's a little strange. But anyway, I think that part's funny.
So I want to welcome to the program Jackson Hinkle. Do we have him?
Yeah, give me.
This is a good strategy. Okay, ask Mila to beg David Feldman to beg Sam to have you on the Majority Report. I need at least 90 minutes though. That's the thing. He put the MR. I just noticed that. Yeah, he put the MR background behind himself. That's so good. Okay, so here's the thing. I need 90 minutes, right? I'm not like I've called into the Majority Report, right? Like I've done that. I've been there, done that. Okay, been there, done that. I want 95 minutes, a feature-length film. Let me go on the Majority Report and upload a feature-length film. Otherwise, I've been canceled. And someone clip this. Someone clip this part right here, where I'm saying this part. This is the serious message here. Unless Sam Cedar allows me to upload a 95-minute feature-length film to his channel, I've been canceled. This is unacceptable. How come an American patriot gets 95-minute advertisement on the Majority Report and I don't? That's not fair. I'm a communist too. This is bullshit.
1 second here. Let me start my camera.
Okay, and so Jackson, thank you for coming on today. I should say also you were very gracious because where can I get him up here on the screen? Do we have him? Yeah, he's up. I've got a weird thing on my stand. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you sent me an email with some dates, and I've got some I'm a little jammed up with my kids in the month of February, so I invited you onto the program. You were very gracious about coming on, and I appreciate that. And you wanted to. Now, is it the case, Bradley? You can take that down. I was told that you are a communist, and so. I don't know what you got going there. And so I was told that you are a communist and that you wanted to come on, and you emailed me that you wanted to debate. This is what you wrote. Would love to focus the discussion around your support for the Squad. I personally believe the Squad and progressives in Congress are sellouts who have abandoned virtually every aspect.
Now, this guy, American Patriot, also said the Squad is going to institute fascism in the United States. 1.5x. All right, I'll go on 1.5x. We'll bump it up a little bit. But again, so this guy not only has said that the Squad are like virtueless or whatever, he literally calls them Nazis, right? That's incredible. But again, this is another one of these dead enders, right? Like these kind of guys.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
Like just another one of those dead enders, force the voters. And again, unless I want to stress this, goddammit. Y'all need to send these the fucking Sam Cedar show's coming on in an hour from now. Get your IMs ready and demand that I get a feature-length film on their channel. Otherwise, again, this is hardcore big tech censorship, and I will not stand for it. In fact, you know what? I'm not gonna stand for it so much that I'm gonna dislike the video live on stream. Disliked?
Last couple of years. Let me know if you'd be down to discuss this. And I was a little surprised. Are you all right? Can you see the?
Yeah, the thing just moved, so I gotta fix it.
Okay, there you go. All right. So, so let me just so that my audience can know who you are. You've got a show called The Dive, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And are you and you are a communist? Yes.
I'm a Marxist-Leninist, anti-imperialist, and American patriot.
Okay. All right. And
I'm sorry. That to me is so funny. Like the idea that he's got this memorized list of labels, right? Like, first of all, Marxist-Leninist, I did a video about this a couple days ago. Like, all these labels don't mean anything. Like, anti-imperialist, except I support imperialism when it comes to, other countries that are not the United States of America, like China or Russia, for example. I'm a Marxist-Leninist, except, what the fuck does that even mean, honestly? I'm an American patriot, but I'm anti-America, but I'm an American patriot. These words don't mean anything. how can you be an American patriot and an anti-imperialist and a Marxist-Leninist? None of these words mean anything. And the fact that this guy can sit here and say that he's all of these things, right, proves that none of these words have any meanings. So please stop using dumbass labels. Like, just call yourself a communist, call yourself an anarchist, call yourself a socialist. Stick to the classic labels. We don't need any of this democratic, socialistic, patriotic, Leninistic Maoism. Like, we don't need any of that garbage. Like, come on now.
Because I have to say, I was a little bit surprised by what you wanted to talk about. As a Marxist-Leninist, I guess, but because it seems a little bit focused on electoral politics, from my experience with folks who refer to themselves as communists. But if that's what you wanted to do, that's fine with me. So let's just start with the idea of the premise that the squad and progressives in Congress, presumably the Democrats, right, are sellouts. What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that, and why I think they're not progressive, because...
So, I wanna talk about this real quick, because Sam does a really good dig that I don't think Jackson Hinkle understood here. I'm pretty sure Jackson Hinkle, he didn't really react to it at all. But what Sam did here was he basically said that this guy's like a grifter, right? Like, and this is what I say. Like, this is what I've been saying when I debated Jackson Hinkle. This is one of my points as well that he just dismisses, is he only focuses on these hot button, like, culture war, like, wedge issues in internet spaces, right? Like, actual communists that would actually call themselves, like, a Marxist-Leninist or whatever, they are more concerned with mutual aid, direct action, police accountability, like, protests, all this kind of stuff. And it's weird that Jackson Hinkle is not really into that at all. But again, he didn't really understand that. So I just want to say Sam did a really good one there.
That's the other big thing here, is I think that there's 3 or 4 major issues I have with them. Number one being that they could have blocked the passage of a large number of must-pass bills, and they chose not to. And if they had chosen to block those, I think they could have, leveraged their power for concessions, policy concessions. The second thing is I think that they have been directly voting for anti-progressive bills and measures. In some cases, they've even introduced these themselves. They've acted at the behest of the Democratic establishment on multiple occasions, giving their own, campaign funds to corporate Democrats. And the third or fourth thing is basically staying silent and giving Joe Biden support in the face of his pro-war, anti-worker.
So, okay, this is one of the other things that's really bizarre about this stance here. It's like, they mix in things that are genuine criticism with conspiracy theories, right? So this all goes back to the forced to vote conspiracy theory that postulates that the squad actually had infinite power because they had 6 people, which means that 6 people control the entire House of Representatives in this bizarre conspiracy theory where they can hold out their vote and get anything they want. If that was how Congress worked, if 6 people or 10 people could group up and hold out and then could get anything they wanted, we would not be living in the country as we know it today, right? So it's a bizarre conspiracy theory that has no basis in reality at all. Now, can they leverage their vote in certain ways that would potentially get more concessions or maybe, change the certain tracks of certain legislation? Absolutely. But to claim that they can leverage their vote to get whatever they want and that they're choosing not to is it's a conspiracy theory. But again, they mix in these genuine criticisms where it's like people can and should criticize AOC or Cori Bush or Ilhan Omar or something and continue to push them left because that's what leftists should be doing in general. But to make up these bizarre conspiracies, like they funnel their money to corporate donors or something, it's just what? It's weird. But again, the marketing here is that they don't expect their audience to actually know that much. That's the crux of this, right? So when the audience has an innate kind of oh yeah, I want to push politicians left, one of the things that they often say is they want to hold politicians accountable. Right, so they'll hear a couple things that they might already know or have been predisposed to or have some cursory knowledge on, and then it fills in the gaps with their conspiratorial thinking, right? This is the Jimmy Dore conspiracy theory. One of the earliest parts of this conspiracy theory was that AOC secretly voted for the CARES Act, even though she said nay. She said no. She did not vote for it. She, campaigned against it for weeks and weeks leading up to and weeks after the CARES Act because it was a corporate handout, right? But Jimmy Dore postulated that she secretly actually did vote for it, and she was lying about it the whole time, right? And again, so like you might think, oh, the CARES Act is bad, and then like you hear, oh, AOC secretly voted for it, and then you might be predisposed to thinking AOC is a bad person. So then you hear Jackson Hinkle talk, right? So again, it's all like, it's weird, it's strange, it's very bizarre stuff. But again, it's like cult building. This is narrative building. This is a technique that they use in right-wing media a lot, where they just construct these very fake narratives to build patterns, because humans are really good at pattern recognition, even if there aren't any patterns, right? That's kind of what our brains do. So what they do is they build narratives, they build these patterns, these stories, these universes that you can kind of live in and feel like you're a participant in. Like, and that's the thing at the end of the day, is like, you know, tweeting at AOC, I want healthcare now. That's not holding her accountable. That's not doing anything to change power dynamics. That's just making you feel good, right? So they construct this whole, like, it's like a metaverse, like a Second Life kind of thing, where they construct this universe where, like, they're a main character, they're a participant in the fight, right? And it's really fascinating. Whereas someone like Sam Seder lives in the real world and actually understands a little bit about how power works. Now, again, like, you can disagree with Sam on a whole host of things. I do on him probably a bunch of things. But he at least knows how the world works, right? He at least is aware that, you know, the House of... You can't have 6 people control the world if they're members of the House. Like, and so that's why this is such an interesting thing here. But I'm you know...
agenda.
Going off on a tangent.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because I'm trying to get at. I mean, we'll get to those the specific things, but when you say sellout, I mean, this is the part that I'm unclear on. What do you think they've gotten from this? Like, when you sell out something, right? I mean, what are they getting?
I think they're getting preferential treatment from the Democratic establishment. I think the Democratic establishment is playing softball politics with them rather than going as hard as they could against the squad. I think the media has treated them relatively favorably ever since they have started to act in line and kind of toe the line of the Democratic establishment. I mean, they've been able to receive...
These are just conspiracy theories. The media treats them favorably? What does that mean? Who is the media? Like, that's the thing, because, like, is the media mainstream media, like CNN or Fox News? Because if that's the case, the answer is no. Mainstream media has not treated them extremely favorably. Is it possible that a couple of hosts on MSNBC or CNN might positively talk about them at some points? Yes. That does not mean that, quote, the media treats them favorably. But again... Like, this is all, like, they use vague language, right? And so, like, the vague language, what it does is it allows you to fill in the gaps, right? So, the media, what does the media mean? Well, the media means whatever you think the media means. So when you don't think about things, when you don't actually, like, stop and think, what the hell is this guy talking about? And when you hear things like the media, oh, well, you think, oh, CNN, MSNBC, the Democrats. You might even think the Sam Seder show is the media, right? The media, basically, like, this vague language just allows people to kind of fill in the blank, like Mad Libs. And you can just kind of, like, create these, and then it allows them to feel like they're participating. It allows them to feel like, oh, yes, I know what's going on here. And it's you know, it's interesting.
Donations and connections with George Soros and George Soros's family for not only their campaigns, but associated ventures like the Sunrise Movement. So I think those are just a few of the ways that they have
gotten preferential treatment from the Democratic establishment. In what way? Because as far as I can tell, like, for instance, AOC, Katie Porter's not exactly in the squad, but I imagine you include her in this group. They got actually the opposite of preferential treatments when it came to committee positions. Committees are the most important thing in terms of exercising power. They literally censured Ilhan Omar. They attempted to do it almost.
I think in some regards they have been attacked, and there is going to be that friction there. But in some ways, Sam, because you're trying to act like there's no ways that they've been treated preferentially. They were invited to create dialogue with the Biden administration on a whole host of policies and different policy arenas to influence the Biden agenda. Although I don't think they've really done that, with the exception of maybe climate change.
Okay, so they're invited to talk about legislation with the president of the party that they are in. That's preferential treatment. I don't even, like, again, and that somehow justifies the statement of like the media. Like, what does the media have to do? Like, again, it's Gish Gallop. This is the same thing he did with me, is that he would list off a bunch of pre-written facts and notes. I pointed this out when I was debating Jackson Hinkle, is that he often like looks at a screen and like has like a bunch of prep. And right, like, and like, he'll just like start reading off like his note sheet and about like a bunch of crazy shit that you like. It's Gish Gallop. You can't refute 19 different lies at once, right? And then like the audience might hear something that kind of sounds like something that they might agree with in their head, and then that means they'll, it's all just like showmanship, like strongman tactics. And it's just bizarre. And he's just gonna keep listing out these fantastical, like, some of them are kind of true, but most like the conclusions that you draw from that are really bizarre and make no sense.
They've also, Ilhan Omar, for example, she was made whip of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. We also have Ilhan Omar introducing bills that have already passed the House, thanks in part to, Nancy Pelosi's support. So there's a lot of ways in which they have received preferential treatment. But what I want to get at is what they...
So you notice that Sam is just like, he's like every, like, one of these, like, weird conspiracy theories that he's, like, Sam's trying to, like, keep track of each one of them, but Jackson's gotten like 6 of them out. He got like 6 conspiracies out, and like that's enough, right? Like,
let me just let's just have a dialogue here. You say they get preferential treatment. I'm trying to figure out what it is that they're sold out for. Like, what did they get paid in? And you said preferential treatment from the establishment. I listed things where they got the opposite, but you're telling me that Ilhan Omar is named the whip of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and they had the opportunity to negotiate with the Biden administration. That's the preferential treatment they got over other members of Congress?
Well, the de facto position for progressives would be for the Democratic establishment to roast them at the stake every single opportunity they get, because they're there to directly, supposedly, challenge the Democratic establishment, replace them with people who align with, whatever the squad is the Justice Democrats were supposed to be. So, yes, that is the goal here. And it would make sense that the Democratic establishment should be trying to go as hard as they can against them at every single chance they get. And they haven't done that. They've given them preferential treatment to what you would expect from a group of individuals who are supposed to be unseating them.
So you're saying that the Biden administration actually conceded on all of those things, as opposed to, I don't know what you mean by roasting.
I don't think they conceded. And I don't want to focus too long on this, because this isn't the crux of the argument. The crux of the argument, what I emailed you, was about your support for the squad when I think that they are not progressive, okay? But yes, the Biden administration...
So this is the same thing that he did with me, and this is so fun to watch. Is like, he will start listing off, it's Gish Gallop once again, he will start listing off like 17 random bullshit conspiracy factoids, right? And then when you try to like respond to each one of them, or like go down a rabbit hole of like discussing why he said that, he then goes like, no, let's stay on topic. So he'll present these fantasy scenarios and these weird things, and then as soon as you try to like question him on it, he'll like, no, why are you off topic? We're trying to get on topic here, right? And he's trying to control the conversation. And again, it's super easy, because he's looking at a screen and he's reading off like a bunch of he's just reading off of a screen, and he just has like this like faux confidence, and he's rude. He's a rude son of a bitch, right? Like, this is like a typical like white guy attitude, where he doesn't care about like etiquette at all. So he doesn't mind just like reading off a screen as someone else is talking to him. He doesn't mind just talking over people, right? So it's textbook sociopathy, right? So you just read off a screen, and then it's like, oh, it doesn't matter if the other person's trying to talk. I'm trying to stay on subject, and it's all like it's just a bunch of nonsense. And so again, this is just a strategy he does to try to retain control of the conversation. Did he really talk about George Soros? I must have missed that. Did that happen already, or is that later on in this? Because I'm only 10 minutes in. I should probably continue.
Back and forth here. All right, you've made your assessment that they're getting...
Because if I didn't hear that, but also, like, it's possible that because it was, I'm listening at 1.5x or something. But yeah, that's bizarre. In the beginning of the debate. Is this the debate yet? I don't know.
Preferential treatment because they're not being roasted by the establishment. And then you're saying that they're getting money from George Soros?
Yes.
Okay, here it is. Okay. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Whoa. Okay. I'm trying to figure out, how do I process it? Okay, I'm gonna listen to this again at 1.0, because this is some Okay. So this is American patriot Jackson Hinkle, folks. American patriot Jackson Hinkle is about to speak.
You've made your assessment that they're getting preferential treatment because they're not being roasted by the establishment. And then you're saying that they're getting money from George Soros?
Yes.
In the form of giving it to the Sunrise Movement?
No, Ilhan Omar received direct contributions.
How much from George Soros?
She received, let me pull it up here. She received, between George Soros, Andrea Soros, and Alex Soros, she received $2,700, $5,600 in 2020, and then in 2018, $27,000.
He, apparently Soros has my first name. He says, like, Andrea, really weird. I don't, like, it's really strange. But okay, I'm sorry, but like, why is American patriot, Marxist, Leninist, anti-imperialist, Jackson Hinkle, why is he trying to talk about a George Soros conspiracy theory as if it matters? Is it possible that, yes, George Soros donates to politicians? Okay. And? What the fuck? Like, I'm just like, I'm trying to like understand this. Like, okay, George Soros, like, do you want to like who did fucking, like, I don't know, who did Larry David donate to? I don't like who did fucking, like, I don't, like, any rich person, like, who cares? Like, who gives a fuck? Like, what does that have to do? And I'm sorry, this is so funny.
$700 respectively.
Okay. All right. I didn't realize she'd received $2,700 in multiple years. And so you're contending that they sold out for over $2,700 from George Soros.
No, if you listen to anything I just said, I named numerous examples in which the squad has been given preferential treatment, and to just select that one in particular is very disingenuous.
Well, you said Soros, so I was just asking in terms of the Soros part. You said Soros was number 4, I think.
I mean, there's more I could go on to list, but again, what I want to talk about here, and what you seem to not want to talk about, and I can assume why, is your continued support for the squad, who is going along with the Democratic establishment on all these votes they could be blocking to get concessions in return. And in some cases, they're actually directly supporting anti-progressive measures and bills.
Okay. And I there's no doubt that they have taken votes that I agree that I would disagree with in some instances.
A few or a lot?
I mean, a few.
How many is a few? I'm just curious.
I don't have a list of how many votes I don't appreciate that they've taken.
Well, I mean, don't you think there's I just want to nail you down on this, because don't you think there's a difference between, like,
now again, notice this is exactly what he does. Is when Sam Cedar, and this happened with me when I debated Jackson Hinkle, when we're trying to, like, get him to be specific about something, he'll be like, oh no, we gotta stay on topic, we can't do that. But then he'll, like, focus on and nitpick on something you said. And again, it's just, it's the strong man, like, I'm just going to talk over you kind of attitude. Like, he doesn't care about etiquette. He doesn't care about being rude. So when he notices, like, he will use tactics and then take it, like, he will benefit from the fact that Sam Cedar or myself are, like, just nice people, generally speaking. So we're not going to, like, just be a rude son of a bitch on a phone with him, right? And then he'll use the same exact tactic, take advantage of that. But then in the reverse, if he senses that he can do anything at all to possibly win in anything, he will do the same exact thing that he's doing, but in reverse. It's fascinating. It's incredible. And again, who cares about George Soros? Why don't you list out, like who does Tom Hanks donate to? Who does fucking Oprah donate to? Who cares? Like, is it important to know where donations are coming from? Absolutely. But again, this has nothing with preferential treatment from the media. George Soros is the media. Like, what does this even mean?
Don't you think there's a difference between 2 to 3 bad votes and, say, like 15 or 20 bad votes?
How many votes did they take in total? And I'll tell you that I would imagine there's probably 25 to 30% of their votes that I would have a problem with off the top of my head.
I would imagine for consequential policy items, there was probably roughly like 60 to 100 consequential policy items that were voted on in this session of Congress 2021 so far. There's obviously a lot of procedural and House rules votes that get voted on every single session of Congress. So far, there's been over 400 votes in this session of Congress, but a lot of those, again, are just on amendments to bills that are eventually voted on or just procedural.
Like, you notice how he's just reading a Wikipedia page, like no one, like, he's literally just reading, like, a Wikipedia page. And it's like, Like, it's great if you want to get granular, but again, he selects what he gets granular in. Like, when it's something that he's got on his note sheet, he'll, like, give every small detail, like, what were the coordinates of, like, fucking Steny Hoyer when he, like, you know, spoke at this moment, like, you know, and, like, who cares? But, like, when someone else is trying to get granular, it's, oh, no, we gotta stay on subject.
Votes.
Okay.
So you're saying that maybe 20 to 30 out of 60 are bad votes?
30%. I don't know. I mean,
well, you just said 20 to 30 votes out of potentially 60 to 100 were bad. So is that something that you would necessarily support? I mean, I just don't really understand. Why don't you criticize the squad on all of these things? I've heard you criticize them like once and every so often, but you don't criticize them.
So here, these are, again, vague words. What does support the squad mean? What does that mean? Like, donate to them? Well, that's one way of supporting, like, give positive coverage to them. Well, what is that, like? Well, criticize them is, like, what do these words mean? They're vague. Like, I watched the Sam Cedar show. When they have criticized this, when the squad does something worthy of criticism in their opinion, they criticize. When they do something worthy of praise, they praise. Like, outside of that, where is this, like, illuminous, like this ethereal support? Like, what is this support? When they're in the news, they're discussed. Like, I've never heard Sam Cedar do, like, an advertisement. By the way, you know, I just want to say shout-outs to Ilhan Omar. We support her. She's great. And anyway, now on to the news. Like, I've never heard, like, what is this, like, support? It doesn't mean anything. And then also criticize doesn't mean anything, because that all boils down to what you see. Like, does Jackson Hinkle watch every episode of the Majority Report? They do, like, a 3-hour show every day. Like, I like the Majority Report, and I don't watch every single episode. So, so you can't say I've never heard you criticize, because you just don't know. You have no idea, right? So these are, but again, you know, he doesn't care about that. He's just going to run through it and hope that Sam doesn't notice.
I mean, all of these bad votes, and I don't understand how you plan to hold them accountable if you're not criticizing them.
Well, I mean, I do. I mean, I don't know if you watch every one of our shows.
Did you criticize them? Did you criticize them when AOC funneled $160,000 to DCCC corporate Democrats after promising not to?
Actually, first of all, I actually didn't criticize that.
Why not?
Actually, I'll tell you why. Because I think part of the strategy in which they deployed, and she said, we should say that she did these in incremental ones, right? There was like 2,000 a pop, if I'm not mistaken, right?
They were 5,000.
Okay, 5,000. I think there's value in doing that, because I think that what politicians should do, broadly speaking, is go in and try and get legislation that is positive passed. And so if
what positive legislation have they gotten passed by donating to those DCCC candidates?
Well, the Build Back Better bill passed in the House.
Did it pass in the Senate?
No, but she didn't give to senators.
So what legislation has the squad voted for, and it's also passed in the Senate, that you think is good and directly resulted in them donating $5,000 to DCCC candidates? Don't you also think, wait, Sam, don't you also think that given that AOC specifically said that she was not going to donate to them, that's a problem, that she then went out and donated to them? And this is before
that. I think people could take issue with that.
And this is before there's even a Democratic primary. So there was going to be progressive challengers like Ava Patsova in Arizona's first district.
Listen, I think people could take issue with that.
So why did you not?
We did talk about it.
You just told me you didn't talk about it a minute ago.
No.
Yes, you did.
I didn't spend as much time emphasizing it apparently as you want me to, but
all right, letter hack. I will see y'all tomorrow. I'm sorry, this is so entertaining for me. Like what? So Jackson Hinkle is now just openly lying, like he's just like trying to gaslight Sam into believing stuff that did. I don't even like what this is. We're only 15 minutes in. How the hell? Why doesn't Sam Cedar have me on the goddamn show for 90 minutes? How does this happen for 90 minutes? Like, is he here the whole time? Oh, wait. Oh, okay. Never mind. Hold up. Okay. Oh, it's only like 40 minutes then. Okay.
You just told me a minute ago you didn't talk about it. What do you think about the fact that they voted to subsidize Cobra premiums for 6 months?
I, in fact, talked about it with AOC, and I said that was garbage, and she said it was garbage.
So you talked about it before she did it or after she did it?
After she did it. She came on the show, and I literally said that was a garbage vote, and she said, yes, it's garbage.
So did you press her as to why? I'm just curious.
Yes, you should go back and watch it.
What about when she voted to sanction?
I love that. I love, that's really funny. That's really funny. Because like Jackson Hinkle's like saying like, why don't you criticize them ever? And then Sam Cedar said, not only do I criticize them, but I had her on the show and criticize her directly. Like, that was really good. Hinkle is on the whole show. He pretends to lose his camp. Oh my god. Okay. Oh my god. and then I guarantee you he's going to pretend he got censored. Okay, so, he loses his camera. Okay, so I guarantee you he's going to pretend he got censored at some point. I guarantee it.
Myanmar, Cambodia, and supported sanctions on Cuba, Venezuela, a handful of other countries she voted to sanction in basically the entire global south.
Yeah, I'm against sanctioning in particular the case of Venezuela.
Okay. What about when she refused to speak out against Biden's airstrikes in Syria, Afghanistan, Somalia, or Iraq, many of which killed civilians?
I don't remember if I said anything about AOC not.
You didn't. I was watching your show at the time. I actually watch a lot of your show, but usually.
Oh my god! This tweet is so good. Holy crap! This is a good tweet from Not Me Bus. Oh my god. Okay. Hinkle reading debate prep notes from his screen confirmed. It's confirmed. I knew it. I told you this. Reminder. In our debate with my debate with Jackson Hinkle, I literally called him out on it, and then like I saw him scroll over and then like click off of something, and he's like, "I'm not reading a screen." And then it was like an awkward, like, kind of like, well, I know you're reading a screen. You know you're reading a screen. It's weird that you don't want to know that you're, like, why would you just say, yeah, I've got notes? Like, just say, yes, I have notes. Like, that's not, like, it's kind of weird, yes. But it's like, it's not that huge of a deal. Just say, yeah, I had notes open, whatever. This is really good. Okay, so what he did, like, it was open on a display capture. Is that what it was? And you're doing, like, a frame advance kind of a thing? Okay. Or did he just, like, have them open on stream? Like, why is this, like, a prominently display? Oh, is this, like, when he got censored, when the camera broke or something? Like, something had... Kevin. Control F Kevin. Who's Kevin? What the fuck? Who is Kevin? Why is he Control F-ing Kevin? Oh my god, that's amazing. Control F Kevin. That's incredible. Alright, folks. Let's get back in.
To criticize you. What about when she voted to increase the Capitol Police and security budget to $1.9 billion increase?
Issue with her specifically, but I said that vote was wrong.
So, okay, Sam, there's one more thing I want to say here, because this kind of ties the whole argument together. There's a difference between saying that this vote is wrong and saying that not only is this vote wrong, but they could have leveraged the power that they had on these votes, because in the case of the Capitol Police and security bill, they could have actually blocked the passage of that bill to get concessions in return. So why are you not saying that? Because you've actually gone out on the record previously, and you have said...
Jackson, let's have a debate here, okay? You're listing off every single time I haven't criticized AOC over the past...
Well, the question is why?
Childish. Well, I've made it quite clear. I don't care.
You don't care about what?
Let me ask you this.
You don't care about what? No. What don't you care about? What don't you care about?
Increase in the Capitol Police? I don't think is that relevant.
Why don't you think it's relevant? There was a leak yesterday from Capitol Police that shows that Capitol Police has intelligence units across the country that are creating dossiers on Congress people and their staffers. You don't care about that?
I think that's a problem. That came out yesterday.
Yes.
The increase in the Capitol Police after they were overrun, you know what? I just don't think it's that big of a deal. What I think is...
So, okay, this is a very interesting thing, because it's like, there are stories, right? As someone who does a show, right? I do a show. There are stories that I will scroll through and I go like, I don't care about talking about that, right? I don't cover on my show. I don't make it like a thing to cover on my show every single time Congress votes on anything. Every single time the state Congress votes on everything. Every single time the city council votes. I don't do that on my show, right? If there's something of particular interest, I'll talk about that, right? So someone not criticizing every single vote, like with 100, like it's like you're going for perfect attendance or something. I don't understand that at all. His panic during the mute is the VOD on his channel. I think the notes showing is related to the camera problem. Okay, so we got censored. His camera broke. But he had his camera on his, so he has a display capture, right? I use OBS, so I assume he does. And he has like his camera as an app on his computer that's under the display capture. Because I noticed that he has this weird bullshit that he puts on his camera that's like super annoying, by the way, and it's like the default font. Hold up. Like I'm going to like give you a default font real quick. Look at this. It's literally like the default font. this. Like, this is the default font on OBS. So, like, so I know he, like, uses OBS because this is the default font. So what he does is he probably had a display capture. And his camera fucked up, and that was just the window that was under the display capture. I really hated this because he has his chat visible on his webcam, so I was like reading his stupid fuck chatters while I was trying to talk to him. It's really distracting, but that's just another one of those weird mind games he plays.
It's a much bigger deal in my mind was the opportunity to raise millions of children out of poverty, which they're not going to be able to do, but because, like you say...
Because they let it lapse.
No, they didn't let it lapse.
The child tax credit, they let that lapse. And they could have potentially blocked that from lapsing had they leveraged their votes. Had they leveraged their votes.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about a number of votes. Do you understand the idea? Do you understand the idea of force the vote? Sam, do you understand the idea of force the vote?
No, I don't. But let's just stay...
What do you mean you don't understand the idea? Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
I love that clip. It's a classic.
Yeah, force the vote.
I'm Jackson. Do you think AOC is better than Joe Manchin?
You don't understand the idea of force the vote?
Do you think AOC is better than Joe Manchin? Let's stay with your original thing that you wanted to debate. Then we can get to...
Is that what I wanted to debate? Did I email you about that?
Would love to focus the discussion around your support for the squad. I personally believe the squad and progressives in Congress are sellouts who have abandoned virtually every aspect of progressive principles over the last couple of years.
So where in that did I say that AOC is worse than Joe Manchin? I'm just curious.
I'm asking you, I'm trying to explore if they have sold out every aspect of progressive principles, and if you think Joe Manchin and AOC are essentially the same.
Again, I did not say that.
I didn't say you said that. That's why I'm asking you.
You're creating a fake argument. Of course, no, I don't think AOC is the same.
I'm asking you a question.
I like watching like Jackson Hinkle try to process how to respond in real time is so, well, I guess it's in 1.5x time, but it's very funny. Oh.
Well, no, you said that I said that, and that's what I initially came here to debate. That's not true. But no, of course, I don't think, of course, Sam, of course, I don't think that AOC is the same as Joe Manchin. Like, you think I'm insane or something? Of course, I don't think they're the same.
I have some questions.
So I have some questions about you, too.
AOC is a better legislator, is more progressive than Joe Manchin?
I think she's a terrible legislator because she's allowed roughly 18 must-pass or near must-pass votes go through without blocking them in instances in which she could have actually blocked the agenda from going through.
Okay. Do you think AOC is more progressive than Joe Manchin?
That's not what I came here to debate, but of course, yes, I do.
Why I support...
That's not what I came here to debate, but of course I do, yeah.
Okay, so the reason why I support the squad is because I think she's better than people like Joe Manchin. The squad.
So my problem with that...
Omar and Rashida Tlaib and are better than Josh Gottheimer.
So you're basically saying, well, AOC is better than the lowest bar we have in the Democratic Party, so that's why I support her. By that logic, do you support Nancy Pelosi because Nancy Pelosi is better than Joe Manchin?
You know what? I don't support Nancy Pelosi because
really? But she's better than Joe Manchin, so why don't you support her?
Because she's not the best that we have in the Congress.
Okay, so let's take a look at the best we have in the Congress. The best we have in the Congress, according to your logic, the best we have in the Congress right now is the squad, right? And the most progressive, I'm putting that in quotes, members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus.
Yes, exactly.
So given the fact that this group of individuals, the squad, campaigned on fighting for a set agenda, and they have not fought for that agenda, and they have abandoned every single opportunity that they could have blocked must-pass bills through, or must-pass votes like the speakership vote during the Force the Vote saga, they have chosen...
Again, the conspiracy theory, it's the world building. Like, it really is. It is a world building. Like, the right wing does it too. Like, the big lie of the right is that Trump stole, won secretly, or like the ballots or whatever. It's all bullshit. But they make it up, right? They in their fantasy realm, that's real. In their, because they're in like a fucking bubble. They're in like a fucking like in the Twilight Zone. Like it's like a Mandela effect. They literally think it's like things, like people literally like it's like the flat Earth bullshit, right? Right, and so the force the vote conspiracy theory is very similar in that, like, it allows you, it's a distortion of reality, on like it's a fundamentally unfalsifiable hypothesis that's being presented. It's kind of like a religion in that instance, right? Where it's like, you know, the big lie with the Republicans is that there were like these mysterious voting machines or whatever. It's all bullshit. They made it up, right? But like, it's like, how do you prove it's not true? Well, you need to have like cameras in every voting chamber for like every 24/7 surveillance of everything. Otherwise, it's theoretically possible. It's all nonsense. It's all bullshit. Joe Biden won fair and square, of course, right? But again, it's the same thing with the force the vote. Well, they will present these like vague notions of leverage and power, and what's power, what's leverage? Well, we don't know, right? So you fill in the blanks, and then you start to imagine that these words mean something that doesn't, you can't prove. Like, again, how do you know that you haven't been fighting? Unless you've got 24-hour monitor on AOC and you know what she's saying behind the scenes, right? You understand the politics. There's like what's public, and then there's what's private. How do you know she's not fighting? Now, I'm perfectly willing to criticize her whenever she does something that's stupid garbage, right? But it's like, how can you make these declarative statements? They rely, it's world building. They're building an alternate universe where they can like just produce content for these small bubbles of people that live in fantasy land. And like, again, I called this out like last year around this time. I called this fucking shit out, and I lost a lot of subscribers. But over the course of last year, like since then, I've had a lot of them come back and say like, oh shit, I kind of went down a rabbit hole there when Jimmy Dore started doing the anti-vax stuff. And so, people have slowly but surely been getting out of it, but then there's also the kind of people that don't get out of these rabbit holes. There's the kind of people that like go further deep, and that's kind of like, again, we're a year into this, like year and a half really into this like new conspiracy kind of like weirdo ways of thinking, and it's fascinating.
To pass the Democratic agenda instead
also,
of
just a reminder, Joe Biden won the 2020 election, Donald Trump lost. I just have to say that.
Actually forcing through their agenda and getting small or large concessions in return.
Okay, so
why didn't you support force the vote?
Well, I'll talk to you about force the vote, but let's just stay on the topic that you wanted, and then I'll talk about force the vote.
Okay, so folks, real quick, I just have to. I know.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
Hey, I didn't say it.
The reason why I support the most progressive members of the Democratic Party is because they're the most progressive members of the Democratic Party. Now, if you want to have a conversation that you think people should be voting for a third party instead of Democrats, I'll have that conversation too. But why wouldn't, and unless you do want to have that conversation, why wouldn't I support the most progressive members of the Democratic Party, even if they are subpar to where I want them to be?
I think that you need to hold them accountable, which is, I was a supporter of AOC. I donated to her. I bought her little merchandise stuff. And even during Force the Vote, even during Force the Vote, I would always say, I hope she proves me wrong. I hope she fights for this agenda that I care.
Now, I have another question. What does during Force the Vote? Like, again, it's world building. Like, this is like these, again, I like, it's like anime. Like, it's like writing like a fucking, like I'm telling you, like, these are sagas, these are arcs, and like, it's like the Cell fucking saga. It's like the fucking, like, I don't know, like, this is, it's world building. I don't know how, I'm sorry, I'm really high. But, like, they create these sagas and these, like, battles and these arcs. And they convince that their audience that, like, yelling at, like, calling AOC a sellout on Twitter is, like, they're, like, using the Kamehameha, or they're, like, using some shadow clones or some shit. Like, they're a participant in these epic battles, right? Like, the Force the Vote, like, during the battle of Force. And then, like, they talk about it in the past tense. Like, that's what they did with the March for Medicare for All. It was a bunch of stupid cringe LARPing. None of it was coordinated at all. They had anti-vaxxers start freaking everyone out, right? They had these giant fucking, like, like horrible anti-healthcare nonsense at the March for Medicare for All, right? Like, but now they talk about that with reverence because it's in the past. Remember the saga during Force the Vote. And then there was the protest for Medicare when we walked in the street for 30 minutes and didn't get anything accomplished. And then, again, they convince their fans and followers that they're participants in these historic battles. And then, like, everyone else in the world is like, what are you talking about? Like, no one knows what these people are on. They're on, like, some sort of drug. I mean, I'm on drugs, but I want what they've got, because that sounds really fun right now.
About, and she never did, and the squad never did, and they have chosen to vote for the party line every single time and not fight for their agenda.
You feel scorned by them, but you still think they're the most progressive members of Congress, correct?
That's not a high bar. I hold them to what they... No, Sam, listen, don't interrupt. I was about to answer your question and you interrupted me. I was about to answer your question and you interrupted me.
Okay.
I hold them to the bar that they ran on while, campaigning for Congress. That bar is saying stuff like, I'm going to fight for Medicare for all. We can't wait 100 more years. We need to fight for it right now. Saying stuff like, I don't care if I'm a one-term congressperson. AOC said this. I don't care if I'm a one-term congressperson. I'm going to fight for my agenda or essentially go down trying. That's what I hold them to.
Okay.
Why don't you?
I mean, I have issues with votes that they have taken at times. They are the most progressive members of the Democratic Party. And until there's more progressive, people who are more progressive than them, they're the best we have. I don't get attached to politicians like you seem to have felt like you're scorned by them in some way. And I just don't.
This is another really important thing that Sam is saying. And this is why whenever someone asks me about how I'm going to vote, the answer is always going to be simple. I will vote for whoever is the furthest left candidate that has a chance of winning, right? So it's like if Uber Communist 420 from like a subreddit like r/ like you know, left whatever, I don't know anything about Reddit, but like if they ran and they had like, you know, 3 followers on Twitter or something, I would not vote for them. I'm talking about the furthest left actually serious candidate, right? And so, but I don't like, you know, I'm not like, I don't have like AOC like merchandise. I don't have like, you know, the weird like, you know, things that, you know, some people do that. That's okay. I mean, I've got Bernie merchandise, but you know, it's a whole different story. Bernie's a different beast. But anyway, like if someone more to the left, significantly more to the left than the squad got elected, I'm right there. Like, I don't understand, like this attachment it really is fundamentally bizarre. And it's similar because like the right wing is attached to AOC because she's big for headlines, right? You know, she's like a young, like progressive politician, right? So she's big for headlines. And so like these people that are like working in the, you know, ultimately they're grifting for money. I mean, let's be honest. That's why Jackson Hinkle has his like sub count or whatever, like literally on his webcam. Like if you are watching him on Zoom, like Sam Cedar right now when looking at him sees this because he is such a narcissist that he has it on his webcam. He doesn't just use his webcam and then use OBS to capture the Discord webcam or Zoom webcam or whatever. No. He uses a separate like webcam like funneling tool so that people like, you know, he's doing this for money. I mean, we all do things for money. That's correct. But, you know, you do a certain kind of motif. So you're going to focus on AOC all the time, even though ultimately, like, it, there's the real world and then there's the fake content media world where like you do exaggeratory things, hyperbolic things all the time, and you just have to keep going because you can't just plateau. You just got to keep going. So AOC is the main character. She's like the main villain in their arc in their anime or whatever.
I don't think politicians have principles. I think they go in and they get the best that they can do. Sometimes I think that they make mistakes because they're not smart. Sometimes I think some of them are just completely sold out. I think there's a lot of sellouts in Congress. In fact, Ilhan Omar was on the program last week, and she specifically said there's a lot of people who came in progressive who are corporatists now. And I don't know who exactly she meant. I have some ideas. I suspect Nancy Pelosi was one of them. And so I don't get attached in the way you do. So your notion of my support for them, I didn't donate to AOC. I didn't get as attached to them as you did. I take them. They are politicians. I look for the most progressive politicians who are in a position to either win or to implement policy.
I just want to say, Sam doing this rhetorical tactic of like reversing this onto Hinkle is great because like it's so true that like, yeah, Jackson Hinkle was attached. That's such a good fucking way of putting it. Like they're politicians. I'm not like, I didn't develop a parasocial relationship with AOC because I followed her when she had like 10,000 followers, which I did, by the way. I followed her when she had 10,000, you know, I was there, hashtag. But, like I'm not going to develop this bizarre, irrational parasocial relationship with someone just because I followed them online and had zero interaction. Like that's the thing is like, what the fuck?
And yes, they have largely failed. Joe Biden has failed. The Senate has failed. The Senate leadership has failed. I think Pelosi failed. I think it was a mistake for them to vote for the bipartisan infrastructure bill. The Progressive Caucus has failed. In fact, I think that, one of the things that I'm hoping, and, to the extent that I can pressure, there's only so much pressure I can bring to bear on politicians. But one of the things I'm hoping that they do is that they actually implement some voting requirements, some litmus tests to be a Progressive Caucus member.
I think that's a great idea. But Sam, first of all, you just said a lot there.
That idea? You know who brought up that idea on this program?
I have brought up you've brought that idea up on this program. I brought it up on my program as well. I know you've said that
up on this program.
You said it during your first Force the Vote video, actually. You said that maybe it's time that we tell members of the CPC that they should have to support a vote on Medicare for all on the House floor if they want to be a part of it. I think that's a great idea. I just wish you would continue holding them accountable like you did then. Anyways, but you said that I'm too...
hold them accountable then.
Now, again, this is... I pointed this out before. This is the conspiracy language. Hold them accountable. What does that mean? Does that mean like making 30 trillion videos a day about how AOC won't call me back? Like what does that mean? Like I sincerely, right? But again, he snipes it in and then he's going to try to move the subject again. Holding them accountable. How, again, and it's an impossibly vague standard, right? That anyone watching Jackson Hinkle is going to be like, oh, well, Sam Seder, I've never watched their show, but they're obviously not holding them accountable, right? So, and then everyone else who doesn't watch Jackson Hinkle is going to go like, what does that even mean? Like, you know, like, so again, it's vague language and the person listening to it determines what it means in their own heads. And if you're a Jackson Hinkle fan, hold them accountable.
And I just let you talk for so long.
How did I hold them accountable then?
You want to go into this?
Jackson, what do you think is going on here?
You held them accountable back then.
Like again, it's like they're in an anime, man. Like I'm serious. Like they're in an anime. This guy is like he's about to do some fucking jutsus right now. Like this guy is like literally he is the main character. He is the protagonist in his own anime where he like him going on his YouTube show that has like fucking 10,000 subscribers, right? Is like saving the world. Like he's yes, I'm running through and I'm like I'm like gonna go Super Saiyan and then I seriously, what the fuck does that mean? Hold them accountable. Serious. What does that? It's an but whatever.
By going out on your program and saying stuff like
honestly,
stuff like
is influencing them.
We could push House progressive members to leverage their votes. It is worth it right now. Tweeting at some of the top progressives, people who are supported by the Justice.
Not calling their office, not sending them mail, not going to their campaign events. No, tweeting at them. Again, you have to understand, you have to give the lowest bar possible for your minions so that they can feel like they're participating in the anime arc. They want to be that background character who goes like, whoa, like during the fucking tournament or whatever, where like fucking AOC battles Jackson Hinkle and like the fucking championship or whatever. Like they want to feel like they're participating. So yeah, but calling on the phone, that's too hard. Sending something in the mail, that's too hard. Actually going to an event and asking them a question at like a town hall, whoa, can't do that one. Going to one of those Zoom calls that they send out the email links for, can't do that. No, we gotta tweet at them. The thing that has the least the least effect possible, we're gonna do that. The thing that they have muted on everything that they don't read at all because they have no responsibility for or need at all to read any of that stuff, right? Like we're gonna but again,
Democrats in the squad. The more of a stink we make, the easier it is for progressives to leverage it because they can simply say, look, I have my own pressures. So I think it's a good idea to do this, to force this vote.
Yeah.
So why did you not say that or make a stink about this during the vote on the adoption of House rules or the congressional budget or the American Rescue Plan Act or the For the People Act or increasing the Capitol Police and Security budget or the 12% increase in the State Department?
The fucking like blatant fact that he's reading off the note, like he's just like, she's just like, I'm sorry, but this is not how you don't have a conversation. Like this guy, like literally does not. This is like you don't know how to converse with. Have you ever spoken to someone? This is you don't speak to another like an actual human being. This is like, this is like he's just talking at him. Like he could be doing his own video, watching a Sam Seder clip, and then like pausing it and then reading from his note sheet and then like you have the actual person there. You're talking to an actual human being, right? Like this is not how you speak to other people, but
not done. 12% increase in the State Department and USAID funding that they all voted for. The Legislative Appropriations Act, combating international Islamophobia Act, all of these things, the Infrastructure Act, increasing government funding, all of these things, Sam, I'm done, but let me just finish. I let you talk for so long and I don't interrupt you. I just expect a little bit.
Then the gaslighting. I let you talk. He did that to me too, this motherfucker. Is the gaslighting. And it's like, like I'm generally, I was pretty stoned when I did it. So, I like listening to these kinds of people speak because again, I learn a lot about how demented this kind of like the content debate bro motherfucker But like, again, I'm only 27 minutes in. Jesus Christ. I have this habit of pausing things much. I'm just going to keep going.
Respect and return. All of these things were passed by a margin of roughly 6 to 10 votes in the House. These are all things that the progressives could have banded together, or in some cases banded together to stop and get concessions in return. Sam, please stop interrupting me.
No.
Stop interrupting me.
Jackson, you listed off a bunch of votes that you presume I'm against.
No.
I have a problem with the State Department getting more funding.
No, you don't have a problem with that?
With the State Department getting funding? No.
A 12% increase.
I mean, a 12% increase, 11% increase, a 13% increase?
You don't have a problem with the State Department, who is, leading coups across this world, who is launching hybrid warfare through the National Endowment for Democracy in countries all across this world, like Venezuela, like you just mentioned, that you said you had a problem with warmongering and sanctions on Venezuela. You don't have a problem with the 12% increase to the State Department when they could be getting concessions for progressive policies in return?
What concession?
Any concession. Do you know how closely that State Department vote passed? Do you even know the vote?
No.
It was 217 to 212. AOC, Tlaib, and Bush voted no. Presley, Omar, Bowman, Jayapal, Khanna, Lee, and Porter voted yes. So had 3 more progressives who voted yes voted no, they would have been able to defeat the measure temporarily, or forever, because I don't support an increase in the State Department, unlike you. Okay. And they could have blocked it temporarily and gotten concessions in return.
That's another thing Jackson Hinkle does, is he loves to like insert jabs in the middle of his written notes, right? And it's easy because when you have the words on the screen, you just lock your eyeballs, you got the jab, and then you pick right back up, so it's super easy. But again, do I have a problem with the State Department getting more funding? Absolutely. Duh. But it's at the same time, it's like, let's be honest, bro. Like, the Democratic Party is ran and bought and paid for by Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Joe Manchin, right? Like, let's assume, okay, the progressives and the whatever, they delay the bill a couple months. Is that really going to change it? Is this really the big fight? Like, is it stupid that they voted for it? Possibly, yeah, sure. I mean, I personally, I think it's dumb. I don't think there should be a State Department, but that's just me. But either way, this is not this big battle, right? Like, you don't think they could have gotten Republicans to vote for it in a second round? Let's be honest here.
On the State Department budget.
So why don't you think it was a good idea to at least temporarily delay the passage of that to get concessions?
What I had more of an issue with was the...
No, wait, I want to hear you answer that.
Authorization. I don't care. Jackson, I don't care. I do not share your concern about the 12% increase in the State Department budget. I'm not
asking you to care about that. I'm asking you to care about the fact that they could have delayed that. They chose not to. And by choosing not to, they abandoned an opportunity to get a progressive concession in return. Why didn't you...
concession are you talking about?
Any progressive concession. You've listed things like getting better committee assignments.
Wait. So you think they're going to get a better committee assignment if they hold up the vote on a State Department budget?
That's what you've said in the past regarding the speakership vote. I think there's other progressive concessions they could have gotten in return. I think, they could have gotten votes on given policies. I think they could have gotten Biden's agenda potentially.
One to me. What
about, Sam, listen, what about a $15 minimum wage for all Americans? That's not even a progressive agenda item. That's something Biden ran on.
Minimum wage?
Yes.
Not get through the Senate, Jackson.
But don't you think it would be important to at the least get a vote on that in the House?
I mean, I suppose. I think everybody has said they're for it. It's not going anywhere.
$5 super chat. LMAO channel has the best Twitter drama autopsies. Who, me? Hey. I try my best. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, this guy is very clearly scripted. I called him out on it. In my debate with him, I asked him why he was reading off of a screen, and he vehemently denied. He was like, I'm not doing that. My thing is like, okay, you're reading from a screen. That's all good. It's whatever. It's kind of weird, right? I'm clearly not. I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff and having a normal conversation. You have a script and you're trying really hard and you just took 3 caffeine pills and an Adderall or something. So it's it's a little bit of a desync. It's kind of weird, but it's the weird part is the super weird part is when you're lying about it. That's just, it's fascinating.
So why don't you support the squad delaying these bills, all the ones I just listed that passed by a small margin of votes, smaller than the squad themselves?
Things are not terribly relevant in the final analysis. I mean, one of the problems with, let's say, force the vote, and you want to talk about that, and you've quoted me from a video in which I initially talked about force the vote. Do we have that video? Play that video. Play a clip of that video, and I'm gonna tell you what exactly what happened with force the vote.
You need to look at the video to remember what you said.
It was a year ago.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. I guess your opinions have shifted a lot since then.
Well, I've also done 300 shows since then. All right, here's the video. My only caveat about this is that I don't know how well it's going to do in a vote. I think it's going to get the majority of Democrats, I would imagine, if it was to take the vote taken. But it's also is that the best ask? Mm-hmm. Is it a better ask? We want more progressives on this committee, or we want more progressives on that committee. But at the time, for the time being, and I need to read more into it, but I think the idea is that it is worth, right now, I think, this is one of those few places like where Twitter actually means something. All right, so now, Jackson, let me tell you what happened after that.
Can you hear me? My camera froze for some reason. You can hear me, though?
No. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
So let me tell you what happened at that point.
Here we go. It's happening.
I was talking to some people, and nobody in a congressional thing, but activists on this, and people who were involved in Medicare for All were like, it's going to be bad. We're going to lose 300 plus to 100. It's going to be bad for Medicare for All. And I was like, well, at this point, it's quite clear that the campaign for force the vote had already basically taken off. And at that point, do we just lose them?
No, I'm still here. My camera just went out. I don't know what happened.
Is it on your end? Because I could actually see me in your camera.
Yeah, no, it must be his. It's on my end.
Anyways, all right. So and at that point, I realized, like, okay, well, I'm not going to stay in the way of this thing because let 1,000 flowers bloom was my feeling. It was a dumb ask to have a vote. I'm not watching myself for what that's for. It was a dumb ask, in my opinion, to have a vote for something that was going to lose. And I think that we definitely saw the failure. Even if it had won, I think it would, and it wouldn't have gone anywhere in the Senate. But for it to lose so badly would have been a dumb thing to do. And then all of a sudden it became this sort of litmus test. If the squad is not using this to do a dumb performative act, then they're sellouts. And that was the only time that I actually even started to speak out against the force of the vote. I'm not even sure if I did, maybe we talked about it once at that point. And the next time I talked about it was on a show I was invited on, which at the time I was invited on was called, what was it, like putting force the vote to bed, I think it was. By the time I ended that show, it had been a debate, but that was weeks after it had failed. So the reason why I didn't hold them
That is the famous clip. I'm sorry, I've got all the good force the vote archives. All right, this is this famous clip. This.
Sam, if I could just get this sentence out. We can talk about Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow, and I still believe in force the vote.
So that's that infamous debate, in my opinion, where Brianna Joy Gray, co-host with Virgil Texas, wherever he went, of the Bad Faith podcast, said that Jimmy Dore could kill 15 kids and he would still support this bizarre conspiracy theory. Now, again, for those of you that don't know, this is a great, fun little factoid. I have to write a book about force to vote. There's so many fun facts. This one is the best. This is a great, fun fucking fact. About that is that, so it was originally titled Putting Force the Vote to Bed, right? And it was like a 3-hour fucking goddamn conversation, and then it ended as Putting Force the Vote to Bed, and then sometime in the next 24 hours, the next day, by the end of the next day, it was Force the Vote debate with Sam Cedar. I don't think Sam Cedar's name was in it originally, but, so, someone, either probably Brianna Joy Gray, let's be honest, or Virgil Texas, may he rest in peace, wherever the fuck he is, and so, that they changed it without, it's weird, it's fascinating, that's a fascinating feature of this, but again, let's keep going, because this is getting funny.
Getting committee positions with that vote at that point was because the whole thing had taken off as Medicare for All and had become, someone's sort of pet project to make it about some type of litmus test for the squad to push for Medicare for All, which I thought was a really bad idea.
All right. Well, what's interesting about that putting force the vote to bed debate? I don't know if you still believe this, but one of the reasons you put forward for not supporting force the vote was you said, let's say Nancy Pelosi says, fine, don't vote for me. The Dems lose the speakership because you're not going to get that 218 people to coalesce around another person. You're going to end up getting McCarthy. Do you still believe the lie that Kevin McCarthy would become Speaker of the House if we tried to force the vote?
I have no idea what would have happened, to be totally honest with you, because there was no other candidate to run for Speaker of the House.
But you do understand it would have taken Democrats voting for Kevin McCarthy or a large number of people abstaining from voting altogether rather than voting for someone else to end up with Kevin McCarthy as Speaker?
Well, I don't know. Let's say they held out. What happens on day 2 or 3?
You keep taking more rounds of voting.
Do people abstain?
No, you keep taking more rounds
of voting. How do you know Josh Gottheimer doesn't abstain? How do you know Henry Cuellar?
There's historical precedent for this.
There's historical precedent for what? Henry Cuellar?
For a House speakership vote that went 12 rounds.
Yeah, well, how do you know that Josh Gottheimer is not going to abstain? How do you know that Henry Cuellar is not going to abstain?
Because that would mean a Democrat is voting for a Republican. That's not going to happen.
Have you seen Henry Cuellar's voting record?
I have, and I've seen AOC's, which falls pretty much all in line with Nancy Pelosi's, too.
Right, well, Henry Cuellar's doesn't.
The fact of the matter is they were not going to vote for a Republican. The Democratic establishment would not allow that to happen.
And that's the thing, is they present this, so the idea that Kevin McCarthy could win, is it unlikely? Sure. But it is theoretically possible, right? And that's the kind of That's the thing, but they were like, they're trying to like walk away all of, and that's not even the main criticism. This is like a fucking like one in a sea of thousands of like reasons why it's a silly thing, right? Like, is it like 100% likely? Is it the most possible outcome? No, it's very unlikely, but it could. You can't tell the future, right? They were saying that progressives were gonna like all of mainstream media was gonna coalesce and support force the vote and force Medicare for all. That's what Brianna Joy Gray was saying. So, you know, like that, you know, like the media would have been giving them, apparently the media has been giving them preferential treatment. I don't know, but
the fact that you're thinking that there's some sort of, the fact that you're thinking that there's some sort of practicality in this argument that Henry Cuellar or Gottheimer would have voted for Kevin McCarthy as speaker is actually insane. Like, that's actually insane.
Okay.
So, if you understand, though, the principle behind force the vote, and maybe you have problems with the Medicare...
I had a problem with the ask.
Jesus Christ, Sam, let me finish before you interrupt me.
Leverage.
I know my camera's not on, it broke, but like, let me at least finish what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you understand that force the vote is a strategy that could be carried out, and you've said this in the past, you just think maybe Medicare for all wasn't the best ask, or the speakership vote was too risky because you don't understand how a speakership vote works, then why didn't you support forcing the vote on any of the other policies I listed, or criticize the squad for not forcing the vote on those policies?
Okay, let's not use the word force the vote, because...
What do you want to call it?
Why didn't they use their leverage?
I know that phrase is triggering to you. So why didn't they use their leverage?
Why didn't they use their leverage? Now, how do you know that they didn't?
Because they voted for these bills without getting concessions in return.
How do you know?
Because there are no substantive large material changes that we have seen. There's nothing
that
the squad is...
No, wait a second. You just made a statement.
You just asked me a question. Let me finish.
No, I heard you answered it. You said there's no...
You just asked me a question. You want me to finish answering or not?
Do you know what's in the Build Back Better bill? Do you know what's in the Build Back Better bill?
The one that didn't pass?
Yeah, no, the one that did pass. It passed in the House.
Was it signed into law? I must have missed that.
But Jackson, we're talking about House members, yes?
Well, what is the point of...
Are we talking about House members, or are we talking about people in the Senate?
What is the point?
Are we talking about Joe Manchin, or are we talking about AOC? You said that Joe Manchin is worse than AOC, that AOC is more progressive. They're different people. They're two different houses. You understand how that works?
You want to hear the incredible thing, Sam? I understand that there are two separate chambers in Congress, Sam. You want to hear the incredible thing?
Hold on 1 second, Jackson.
This is really difficult to listen to at 1.5x, I have to tell you. I am like struggling to keep up with this. Oh my God.
Let me answer the initial question you asked. Let me say this.
Let me play
interesting thing here.
1 second, Jackson. Give me 1 second. Will you play the end of this, the Ilhan Omar thing? Because I thought this was sort of interesting. Because I think it's possible that Jackson doesn't quite understand certain dynamics. Bradley, do you have that? Play this last clip. Because I tuned into this, or I got to be fair. Somebody sent this to me. And I was curious because Jackson had done a video on our interview with Ilhan Omar and said it was shocking. And I was like, was it? Did we do something that was shocking in the interview? Well, play the end of this, and this is what I think it was. The fight's a little bit ways away, so we can hopefully catch it.
No. The leadership fight's not going to happen, dude. What are you saying? You honestly believe Ilhan Omar's like, this motherfucker thinks that we're going to hold the House? Oh my God. Okay, yeah, sure. You ask me those leadership position questions when the time comes around. Okay. All right. We'll see you later. Okay. That was incredible.
Okay. So, Jackson, you understand there is going to be a leadership fight regardless of whether the Democrats hold the House. That there is a leadership fight. If they are in the majority, then it's for the speakership. And if they're in the minority, then it's just for the leadership. In other words, Kevin McCarthy is the leader of the Republicans in the minority. You understand how this works, right?
So first of all, I do want to address the fact that you just completely changed the subject when you were getting pressed. But yes,
no, I didn't change the subject. You don't think, you expect 6 members of the squad to change the votes in the Senate, and it doesn't work that way.
When did I ever say that, Sam?
Well, because you said, what concessions did they get? And I said
I am going to be honest. I noticed that people in the chat are having their own... They're in their own world. I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about. But I have literally not been keeping up with whatever the chat saga has become. So I'm just throwing that out there. So
passed the Build Back Better bill, which you didn't seem to understand in the House, and they did pass it in the House. And then you said, "But wasn't signed into legislation?" And I said, "That's because it got stopped in the Senate."
Okay,
and 6 members of the House cannot control.
I'm trying to be really, really respectful right now, but you continue to talk over me and interrupt me. Let me go. So when you talk about speakership votes, that implies that there's going to be a Democratic majority.
I spoke about leadership votes.
Second of all,
play it again. He didn't hear it.
Second of all,
play it again. Hold on,
I'm going to mute you if you play it again. I'm trying to talk about.
It's my show, ding dong. Play it again.
I'm going to go off and say what I'm going to say about what I've been trying to get out for 5 minutes now. But you can
do it again. But you just misspoke. You said I said speakership and I said leadership. So let's play it again.
Do you think that even if the end of that conversation, the end of the conversation was about leadership, and it was, do you think that's not going to happen, dude? What are you saying? You honestly?
Oh my God, he got censored.
This motherfucker thinks that we're going to hold the House. Oh my God. Okay.
I didn't say
that. Yeah, sure. You asked me those leadership position questions when the time comes around. Okay. All right.
Okay. So, all right. So, Jackson, continue.
You have to unmute yourself, Jackson.
Oh my god, it got censored. Big Tech.
Is he still muted?
Big Tech, the media. The media.
He may not come back.
The goddamn media.
Ask him to unmute a few more times. Yeah, it might be the complex setup he's got going on there.
He's got a pretty crazy setup going on. All I do is see myself twice.
That's the thing. I'm glad that they point that out. Like, and again, I deconstructed this earlier in this debate review. I deconstructed this one, but like his setup is honestly, it is fucking weird and it's fascinating and it's bizarre and it's so narcissistic and it's cringe. But like, I'm just gonna skip ahead.
What's this one? Still on his screen?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. Do number. What's this one? Do this one.
Hinkle said muting is CIA tactics. Please send that to me. Please send that to me. Oh, is this the one where he gets owned by his parents?
This is the thing. Is sometimes I think Jackson's maybe not as necessarily as says lies my parents.
No!
This is just from like a
the cringe. The cringe.
See if that gets him to come back.
The cringe.
This is a this is the thing. Is sometimes I think Jackson's maybe not as necessarily as truthful. He says lies my parents told me when I was little. This is just from like I guess it's from a year ago. Santa is real. The tooth fairy leaves money under your pillow. The United States military is fighting wars to defend our country. And then his dad responded, this is the only way that I knew him before this whole thing. No. I'm Santa. You never complained when you got the gifts. Yes, we were such assholes sneaking you money under your pillow. Never once did your mother and I tell you the military is fighting wars to defend our country. That's a bold-faced lie on your part. Did Jackson leave?
Yes.
He's gone. All right. That's too bad. Because I wanted to ask him about that, because as a parent, I want to know if there's actually tension between them or if that was funny, because I feel like I would do that to my kids at one point. But all right, let's take a break. And we'll come back and wrap up the show, and maybe Emma's just come back in so we can do the show.
Well, I don't think they did wrap it up.
I don't think he wants to come back.
No, I think that...
I want to remind everyone that the Majority Report is canceling me. Sam Cedar has personally canceled me, right? Because I have yet to receive a feature-length film slot on the Majority Report. It hasn't happened. Like, an American Patriot can get a 95-minute feature-length film, folks. Like, people would spend $10 and sit in a movie theater for this amount of time. I need a feature-length film segment on the Majority Report. Otherwise, I'm being canceled. And someone get a clip of this. I need someone to get a clip of this and post it on Twitter, because I'm fucking serious right now. This is bullshit. An American Patriot gets 95 minutes of feature-length film, and beautiful hit YouTube show Above It All host Andrea does not. This is fucked up. TBF? Well, maybe I will.
Well, I think we'll put it down to the technical confusion that he had going on there.
Yeah.
It was difficult to unmute, but yeah. I think we got all the points covered.
The technical
I didn't get to the squad is the spear point of fascism in the United States, but maybe I can...
Do you want to give him that opportunity to say that? We should let's play that.
Yeah. Well, do we have the squad is the fascism? Yeah.
It's not just that they're worse, that they're better than Manchin, but they're also the vanguard of fascism in this country.
Oh, no.
So this is the thing that I think was like a little bit disingenuous.
I feel like there's a little bit of Mott and Bailey, if people want to look that up, debating term, where you take a stronger position in one time than a more defensible position when you're being called on it. But here's a little bit on the squad.
Are Democrats the new fascists with their COVID concentration camps? I think that, as I've said before, and I literally got, it went semi-viral on Twitter when I said it, but I stand by it 100%. I said that fascism in the United States will come from progressive, like, woke circles, like the squad, for example. I truly believe this is just further proof of that, you know? This is just further proof of that. So, yeah, I think, yeah.
So it's not just that they didn't leverage their vote to get progressive concessions when there was a 12% increase in the State Department budget. It's that...
Again, it's the conspiracy theory land. Like, when you are like going on stream for like 7 hours a day, you gotta come up with something to fucking talk about, right? So every once in a while, and you get that chat interaction, so you get that like prompt where you can just kind of say something kind of batshit. But it's like, and the initial question was about COVID, concentrate, like some really like what the fuck kind of shit, like some Robert Kennedy kind of garbage, right? So who knows what the fuck that was about? But again, you can't just throw those conspiracies in there, you know?
That they're the vanguard of fascism in this country.
I mean, my concern is that what if we did force the vote, and then all those squad members did vote for Medicare for All, and then we supported them, and then they did fascism on us?
That would have been the real...
they would have had us right where we wanted us.
But they're getting all these... Here's the amazing thing. On one hand, they're getting this preferential treatment where they're allowed to negotiate with Biden, but on the other hand, they're not leveraging their votes.
Yeah.
Now, presumably, they would leverage their votes to get negotiations with Biden.
Yeah, well, they get the opportunity to be ignored by Joe Biden.
But I don't understand how you're supposed to leverage to get something, and that's different than getting preferential treatment from them.
I don't understand why he thought muting himself. Oh, he's coming back? Oh.
Emma's back.
Oh, I'm back. Yeah, sorry, back. Oh, my mic was off? Gotcha.
Again, too.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's. He might be.
So if he wants to come back for round,
saying that, you know,
cool.
Second of all,
sure, Hinkle keeps complaining about AOC, but in the one example he gave, AOC voted the right way.
I'll jump off so you guys can be mano a mano.
Bro, like, first of all, my camera's not working. Second of all, your host muted me. I don't know who that was, but your host muted me.
Talking over the clip, it was me.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried to
and then I never unmuted my thing. I never touched any of my stuff on my end. And then you guys claimed that I muted myself. You guys muted me and tried to get me off the stream.
Matt just said it. No, you're back.
I just said I muted you because you're talking over.
We do that fairly.
Why didn't you unmute me when it was over? And then you claimed that I muted myself.
Jackson, you're talking to me. Let me just clarify. I asked you to unmute yourself. You'll notice in the chat I said, "Are you able to unmute yourself?" And you left. But now that everything's sorted out again, except your camera.
Welcome.
If you muted me, why didn't you just unmute me?
I tried to. Jackson, Zoom. Let me explain. Let me just explain for everybody because I don't want this to be the thing that they hang their hat on. It says ask to unmute yourself. So I asked you to unmute yourself.
I'm glad Matt is actually like Jackson Hinkle's really trying to like insert this as like the fucking yeah, that's right, I got censored by big tech. So I'm glad Matt's trying to clarify that like again, they'll always try to take these things to these extremely bizarre conclusions. And like, you know, like they try to hang their hat, as Matt says, on like these vague notions of like, you know, slightly twisting something, but not so much, you know, like it's like the Jimmy Dore thing where he like rewrote a sentence or something, but like, you know, made it basically dropped the entire meaning of it, you know, like this kind of that weirdo kind of stuff.
Explain for everybody because I don't want this to be the thing that they hang their hat on. It says ask to unmute yourself. So I asked you to unmute yourself. You had to affirmatively unmute yourself. You didn't do that.
But why did you just say that?
That's what I said actually right before you got on there. So
you said it on a chat, but you didn't. I'm not reading the chat. I mean, I didn't even know there was a chat in here. But all right, let's keep talking. So my question, Sam, was if you understand the idea behind forcing a vote on these sorts of policies, and the squad ran on a set agenda saying they were going to fight for that agenda, and then every time they have the opportunity to force a vote on any number of these bills, they choose not to, and they have no material gains, no material concessions that they can show for these potentially hypothetical secret concessions that you claim they're getting, potentially, then why aren't you criticizing them like we all are?
Okay, I don't know who we all are in this instance, but Jackson, you started this off by saying that they were getting preferential treatment by the Democrats, and one of those was their ability to go in and negotiate with Biden. Now, how is that preferential treatment different from exercising their leverage to get in and negotiate as to what the outcomes of bills will be?
Very, very easy answer to that. If you're looking at it from a practical sense as to what is practical, pragmatic politics, the idea of going in on a joint task force with Biden does not result in material changes. In addition to that, those joint task forces, with the exception of, say, the climate change one, they weren't negotiating based on their agenda and items that they could potentially get concessions on. They were negotiating in favor of Biden's agenda between the more progressive aspects of his agenda and the more conservative aspects of his agenda. And I think that they need to be forcing votes on their agenda, concessions for their agenda.
Forcing votes? What are you talking about? What does that mean, forcing votes?
Well, I would ask you, because in your initial video and in the debate you had with Brianna Joy Gray, you said that, yes, I think forcing a vote is a fundamentally good principle.
Getting leverage for certain things is a good principle. But I don't know what you mean forcing a vote. You can have a vote. Listen, there's a bill that has been introduced by Jayapal, right? A Medicare for All bill.
It was introduced after they'd already voted for the subsidization of COBRA premiums for 6 months, which is something you said you vehemently disagreed with.
I did disagree with it, yes.
The fucking reading of
you know, they actually delayed the introduction of Medicare
goodness.
for All so they could initially first pass the COBRA premium subsidies in that COVID bill.
Yes, Nancy Pelosi is a very outspoken critic of Medicare for All. I'm aware of that. That's why I've criticized Nancy Pelosi for that as well.
So if you think that maybe Medicare for All is not the best ask...
Do I think that putting a vote for Medicare for All on the floor is not the best ask? Correct.
Okay, so why don't they instead, focus on, if you think maybe these domestic policies are not their strong suit in forcing their agenda through, like Medicare for All, why don't they focus on foreign policy issues?
No. Jackson, you're talking jibber jabber here.
It's jibber jabber to talk about foreign policy? Is that jibber jabber to you?
If you force the vote for Medicare for All, let's say, it will lose. And not only will it not win, which you don't seem to think winning in the House is even meaningful, right? Because Build Back Better is not going to become a bill because it's stopping the Senate. What about losing a vote in the House?
You actually said on your show, and let me bring this up because this is your quote again. You said that you think that It's important to set markers even if votes fail. So when they can control, both houses and the White House, potentially with progressive politicians, they will have the record of who in the Democratic caucus votes for it.
Yeah, well, with the value we have of Medicare for All is that we know at the very least there's 100 Democrats who won't even co-sponsor the bill, right?
You said that you thought it was a good idea.
In the Senate, they voted to expand Social Security payments. I don't know, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. Which I think was very
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
So yes, I do think there's some value, but it's nominal. I wouldn't exercise, the type of leverage you're talking about to get a vote, particularly on a bill where it's going to lose 300 to 100 or whatever, 310 to 110.
Well, it's not even about that. It's about getting concessions that might not be necessarily policies. Like, for example, you've brought up this idea of getting committee assignments multiple times. So why are they not working to get better committee assignments for, I don't know, say the next congressional cycle?
I hope they are.
Well, don't you think it's a bit of an issue?
In fact, I would argue that maybe AOC sending money to moderate and even conservative Democrats was part of that.
So you think that instead of leveraging their power, they should just be giving them money?
What power, dude? There's 6 votes.
What power?
Yeah.
I just listed multiple votes that pass in the House with very slim margins.
Oh my God.
Such as the Capitol Police.
And if they sink those bills, what do you think they get?
If they sink those bills, they could get the concessions you were just referring to, and you said that you think maybe they got by giving money to DCCC Democrats. That's what you just said.
It doesn't work that way, Jackson.
So you have to pay $5,000 to 32 different DCCC candidates to get anything done?
I mean, it greases the wheels, yeah.
It greases the wheels. So what if I told you instead of playing softball politics and greasing the wheels, which is all don't interrupt me. You've interrupted me so many times, Sam. You've interrupted me so many times throughout this entire debate.
Listen, I don't care.
You've interrupted me so many times. I've let you talk. Now let me talk. What if I told you instead of greasing
things that don't mean anything? Softball politics. What does that mean?
It means softball politics. Okay, let me be specific. Softball politics is giving $160,000 to DCCC Democrats when she said she was not going to do it. Please don't interrupt me. Hardball politics would be, say, blocking the State Department and USAID 12% funding increase or blocking the Capitol Police and Security funding increase.
And what happens after you vote no on that?
You vote no on it and you block the bill from passing. And because these are things that the Democratic establishment really wants passed, you get concessions to vote for those policies. That's hardball politics.
What are you talking about? Vote for what policies?
No, I said getting concessions. And when I say voting for policies,
retaliate against her?
No, I'm saying getting concessions to vote for the policies that they voted for without any concessions, like the increase in Capitol Police and security funding.
What would you do? What would you change in that Capitol Police funding that you think that they should have changed in that bill?
Well, I don't think that we should have given an increase in Capitol Police and security funding. But Sam, here's the part you're missing. It's not about necessarily what they could change in that bill. It's about blocking that bill until they get a concession for something that substantively benefits the agenda they are fighting for.
What is this something that you're talking about?
You've listed numerous examples on your show because you said Medicare for All is not a good ask. So what if we did?
I can't with this. I really can't. Like Jackson Hinkle really, he can't even lie. He can't come up with a lie. This is how far gone he can't come up with anything. He's just repeating the same vague words, and Sam's just trying to pin him on something, and he can't figure it out.
This, that, or the other. There's a whole host of things. I'm not a member of Congress.
But I don't understand.
I'm not a member of Congress.
You know how it works, Jackson. But you can't even articulate one thing that they're supposed to be asking for.
$15 minimum wage.
Okay. I have it on 1.5x speed, by the way.
Better committee assignments.
I'm not going to vote.
Committee assignments.
Okay, but the committee assignments come out at the beginning of the year, and we'll find out about that.
Don't you think that they would say when they're receiving all the criticism to increase the Capitol Police and security because we got this in return?
You want my vote. You want my vote, Nancy Pelosi.
I would just like to remind everyone,
by 12%.
real quick,
and I'm going to withhold that vote.
I would like to remind everyone that I currently, as of this moment in time, am being censored and canceled by the Majority Report because I have yet to receive a 95-minute feature-length film slot on the Majority Report channel. I am not an American patriot, but if I have to lie about being an American patriot to get on the Majority Report for 95 minutes, that's a feature-length film, folks. That is a feature-length film. You could put that shit on Netflix, man. The fact that hasn't happened yet, it means I'm being censored. I'm being canceled. And so we need to have we need to get a hashtag. Something needs to happen. So just throwing that out there.
Unless we have a vote on Medicare for All, and the 100 people who are against it vote for it.
And you said that was a good idea at the time.
No, Jackson, I'm asking you. Do
you still not believe it's a good idea? Because at the time you said it was a good idea.
I very quickly said it wasn't a good idea.
So
very quickly after that video.
So you said that it was a good idea. You said then very quickly I changed my mind and I thought it was a bad idea. Now you cited your reasoning for this because you said you thought it was a part of a Jimmy Dore effort to hate on the squad. That's what you said. I've seen it multiple times. But the question is, you still support the fundamental strategy of forcing the vote, right?
What are you talking about? Force the vote? No, I do not sell. The idea of forcing a vote on something is stupid.
Yeah, the problem was with force the vote. Made all about vote.
Shut up. I'm debating Sam. So you don't think that progressives?
Don't say shut up.
Oh my God, yo, that's so good. That's so.
The question is, you still support the fundamental strategy of forcing the vote, right?
What are you talking about? Force the vote? No, I do not sell. The idea of forcing a vote on something is stupid.
Yeah, the problem was with force the vote. Made all about vote.
Shut up. I'm debating Sam. So you don't think
that's so good? Shut up. This mofo goes on their show and tells them to shut up. That's so good. And again, just think about this though. Think about this is the way the world works, right? Like Jack. Like no, I'm not even joking. Like clip this. One of you clippers, clip this. Someone like Jackson Hinkle is able to, because he is a fucking rude, narcissist son of a bitch. He is able to, with his unearned fake confidence, get a 95-minute slot. A 95-minute slot on the Majority Report with garbage, with bullshit. And I, with my insane intelligence and my amazing etiquette and great moral system, cannot, because I don't have any unearned confidence. I don't have any earned confidence. I have no confidence, right? I cannot get a 95-minute slot on the Majority Report. So notice, this is the way the world works. This is the way the world works. I'm just throwing that out there.
Don't say shut up.
You don't think that progressives?
I want you to apologize.
You don't think progressives should leverage their power?
To say that. I think progressives should leverage their power. Yes.
Okay, so that's called forcing the vote.
No, it's not.
You just said 1 minute ago that I don't want to use the phrase force the vote. I want to use the phrase leverage their power.
You guys made that.
How are those different?
Oh my God.
Because it's what you use your leverage for, Jackson. Okay. Look, I don't want to get into.
No, it's how you exert that leverage, Sam.
So the substance doesn't matter?
I don't understand.
The substance of what strategy you employ to leverage your power. That's what matters. You think that instead of leveraging their power, they should donate $160,000 to DCCC Democrats.
Okay. I think contributing money to people gets them to vote your way. I think there are different things that you can do to build a coalition, to pass legislation, to materially benefit people.
And what happens when you have that coalition? What happens when you have that coalition?
I don't know if you would have gotten those corporatists who wanted the SALT reductions and et cetera, to vote for Build Back Better or to sign off on a provision to, let's say, have expanded childcare or whatever it is, had they not built those bridges. Maybe not. We don't know for sure. We're not privy to those conversations. You can say, I don't think it's a good strategy to, and I can tell you this, the reason why Steny Hoyer is the whip of the caucus, of the Democratic caucus, is because Steny Hoyer gets all this corporate money that he doles out. He doesn't have to do much fundraising for himself.
We're not talking about
around the country. He goes around the country and he builds support for things by donating money to different congressional candidates. And so is there value for the number one fundraiser, who happens to be a progressive, to wield that same type of power? My answer is yes, definitively.
So
I point to exactly
that's very interesting.
Where that power pays off.
Very interesting.
No, I cannot.
That's very interesting because earlier on in this debate, you quite literally said I had a problem.
Everyone heard the debate, Jackson. It'll be on video. You don't have to
keep said I had a problem. You don't want to talk about.
Mike Silver, Andrea, you would have much more views, but you kill growth on your own channel in 2021 by going on pointless protests almost for a year. Mike Silver, I'm going to be honest with you right now. I'm not going to deal with any of that bullshit. Like, first of all, what evidence do you have that I would have much more views on my channel? Like, what evidence do you have for that? Second of all, right, like, so I should do nothing? Like, I should just, like, I can do multiple things. Like, come on now. Like, I'm just saying, like, that's a bad comment. Bad. No good. Bad. You've been very, very bad.
You said I had a problem with AOC donating $160,000 to DCCC Democrats when she said that she wasn't going to. So my question is, you just said a moment ago.
I had that problem, Jackson.
You just said a moment ago. You said a moment ago that the squad.
I had a problem.
Whatever.
You just said a moment ago that
you can look at the video, Jackson.
Okay, I would love to. You just said a moment ago that there is the potential for factions to form in Congress, and those factions can leverage their power. Did you not?
I don't know if I said that, but I agree with that statement.
Okay, so if you think that that is possible, and if the explicit goal of the Justice Democrats was to do just that, and if the reality of this session of Congress is they could have blocked certain votes that were, in my opinion, bad. Maybe in your opinion, I don't know what you think about those votes, but they could have blocked those votes to get concessions in return. They haven't done that. Don't you think that that is a failure of their strategy?
In general, no. I think that if they got no, because you're not giving me a specific instance, and I don't. There are votes that they may be for or against. I don't know.
So Sam, I actually respect you more. I actually respect you more after this debate than I initially did coming into the debate, because you said on multiple occasions, like when I brought up the sanctions,
He's gearing up.
when I brought up the sanctions, when I brought up other issues.
I love the vague notion of like respect. Like Jackson Hinkle's got his own personal fucking power ranking in his brain. I wonder, like, does Jackson respect me? Like, I'm curious. I gave him a 3-hour slot on my channel. Like, come on. Again, I want to remind everyone that the Majority Report has canceled me because I have not gotten a feature-length film slot on their channel. That is a crime. That is against the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, and that's a crime. So I just wanted to point that out.
Disagreements with them on, with the exception of the State Department and Capitol Police funding. You actually said that those were bad things, that you disagreed with what they did. And in some cases, but not all, you criticized them. But what you still fail to recognize is that the explicit strategy that the Justice Democrats ran on, which was to create those factions and essentially be a thorn in the side of the Democratic establishment, kind of in a way, which the Tea Party explicitly, that our job is to be a thorn. You're interrupting me as many times as you said Jimmy Dore during the Breonna Joy Gray debate. I was done. So they were to be a thorn in the side of the Democratic establishment, and they have not done that.
On being a thorn in the side of...
Ooh, I'm sorry. That's cringe. That's cringe. Like, he scripted that. That was in the notes somewhere. Like, that was in, like, oof.
The Democratic establishment is literally for children.
Or the People's Party. Go win some races.
Like, I want material benefits.
Though, at the end of your Haxon debate, you did tell us all that you weren't listening to him the whole time because he was boring. Well, yeah, I was high as fuck, right? So I was, like, when he goes off on these, like, 6-minute long things, like, I was just, like, in and out, like, I was experiencing, like, short-term memory loss, right? So it's like, 1 minute he's talking about, like, something about Syria, the next minute he's talking about, like, fucking, John Deere, the next minute he's talking about fucking, like, PMC, like, Karl Marx, or, like, bro, what the fuck are you on about? Like, it was very fascinating. But again, like, that's just what he does. He just talks forever, and then, like, if someone else tries to talk to him, he'll, it's criticizing and attacking people for doing the same thing that he does.
For people. And if that means that they stroke the Democratic establishment or they are thorn in it, I don't care about that. That's for children. That's
it's not for children. It's not
I don't care about the establishment. Mommy, daddy, this. Who cares?
By not being a thorn in the side of the establishment, they actually hurt themselves. Because by donating, yes, they did. By donating to the DCCC candidates who were going to be challenged by progressive primary candidates, they have essentially ruled out the odds of those progressive primary candidates challenging the DCCC candidates in this next election cycle. What?
Which progressive candidates were running against those?
Ava Patsova is the one that comes to mind. Arizona's 1st district. She was going to run against one of these DCCC candidates.
Who was the candidate that AOC gave to that Ava Petrova was going to run against?
What's that? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Who was the candidate that AOC gave money to that Ava Petrova was going to run against? And what was Petrova's chance of winning?
The candidate that she gave money to was whoever represents the 1st district. It's Tom O'Halloran. He's a corporate Democrat. Ava Patsova she ran against him in I believe she ran against him in 2020, and then she was going to run against him again. She did very well. She didn't even have, I believe, she didn't even have Justice Democrats backing at that time. But the question is, why is AOC...
Oh, wait, AOC gave money to a candidate that Justice Democrats are running against?
No, I said that I don't think she was actually endorsed by Justice Democrats in that race, but there was the potential for her to be endorsed by them in the next race. She wrote an article in The Intercept. I suggest you read it. It's really interesting. But Sam, the question is not about the odds or the likelihood. No one thought AOC was going to be Joe Crowley. She had no backing. She had no odds of winning, and she still won. Now imagine if there was that apparatus of AOC and the progressives behind Ava Patsova, who is a convincing candidate, who is respected by many of these progressive institutions, who did write an incredible article in The Intercept about this. Don't you think that there are some more Ava Patsovas out there who could have challenged DCCC corporate candidates that AOC donated to before primary even took place?
I mean, it's possible.
It's possible. And that's called softball politics, or greasing the wheels, as you put it. And that's why I think it's a failed strategy, because they are actually hurting themselves, their broader movement of establishing a larger faction.
Now, do you still think that they are the vanguard of fascism in this country? Because if they are actually to help themselves, their strategy, that would be sort of problematic if you think they're fascists, right?
I'm not talking about helping themselves. I'm talking about fighting for the agenda that they campaigned on and utilizing the strategy that they said that they were going to carry out via the Justice Democrats faction in Congress, which, according to that, little discussion we just had about the DCCC donations, they're not doing that. They're choosing to grease the wheels, so to speak.
Well, I think so. real quick, there's a difference between donating to someone in a general election and donating to someone in a primary election. Also, like, again, like, I do agree. Yes, like, that's why, like, Jackson Hinkle's, like, mind virus, the Jimmy Dore mind virus, is so penetratable to people that just want a better world, right? Like, what they're doing is they're just basically manipulating vulnerable people with mind viruses. Right? Because, yes, we all want things to be better, right? We all want to have a main character. We all want to back someone. We all want to support someone, right? But then also we have to constantly remind ourselves the Senate is bullshit. The Supreme Court is bullshit. The government is bullshit. It's all made up. Like, humans made all of this up, right? Like, if we actually, like, we can't just focus all of our energy on one politician to save us. Like, it just doesn't, it's not a thing. And, like, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. If you think 6 people are going to somehow have more power than 429, then I don't know what to tell you.
They're probably doing both.
If they were doing both, don't you think that they would have blocked any number of those policies?
No.
Why?
I mean, I don't know what any number of those policies you're talking about, but you're conflating.
Last time I tried to list those policies, you said, Jackson, stop listing policies.
You're conflating electoral strategy with legislative strategy.
Let's just take 3 in particular. The speakership vote, this Department of State and USAID 12% funding increase, and the Capitol Police vote. Let's just take those 3. Those are 3 examples in which they could have leveraged power.
Well, they could have, or they could have just voted against it.
Or they could have just voted against it. Yeah, I mean, there's more that I have here. I have 18 listed. And each one,
like, so for instance, for the speakership,
I love how he admits to just having, like, notes there. Like, he just admits to it there. Also, I'm going to turn this up to 175, folks. We're going in.
They have felt like, well, okay, we did not vote, but ultimately we're going to have to. I mean, you just said yourself, the precedent was that they take 12 votes and that they end up going to land on Pelosi. So if Pelosi knows that, if you're right, and there's no other option as to who's going to be speaker, then what?
Well, what if I told you that there potentially could have been other options? You could vote for anyone. They could have voted for Barbara Lee if they wanted to. I mean, John Boehner served...
Seth, I talked to this dumb motherfucker for like 3 goddamn hours, man. Like, it was fucking incredible. Like, this guy just doesn't shut the fuck up. And he has like a book he wrote. And, like, instead of just publishing the goddamn book, he, like, reads from it in every debate he has online. Every time he ever talks to another human being, he, like, non-consensually reads them passages of his, like, fucking latest fucking novel. And it's just like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Honestly, what the fuck? Also, Mike Silver, on that note, I can agree that, yes, in a lot of ways, they are pointless. It's less about, like, you have to understand managing expectations, right? Like, I am not the main character of anything. I have no, so it's like, I am there to support. I am there to do a part of something. I do not control, like, I'm not going to make a unilateral decision. This is pointless. Therefore, I stop caring about it, because I care about it all the time. So it's like I'm not going to say, oh, well, like, it's easy to say retrospectively, 123.65 days was the peak or whatever. Retrospectively, yes, you can make those analyses. At the time, I'm not going to go like, well, I'm less interested now. So I'm just, I just want to clear that up. Like, you can make an analysis. That's one thing. But being actively engaged in something versus talking about it retroactively from across the planet, like, let's be honest here. Like, we're having different conversations.
Speaker 2011 to 2015, he got more, Republicans elected since 1928, and he had popular support until the Tea Party came along and they forced him out. He had to retire before he even did another speakership election because he knew he was going to lose. So why would the Squad not have done something like that?
Who was the other candidate? Barbara Lee didn't want to run.
Anyone could have run. It doesn't matter. Anyone could have run.
They didn't.
Why didn't they?
I don't know, but they didn't. There was no other person to vote for. So after 12 votes in your scenario,
yes,
Nancy Pelosi knows she's going to get elected.
No, because Sam, if you don't think that at a time when 75% of Americans wanted Nancy Pelosi to step down as speaker, she has record low approval rating, that people are not going to coalesce around a movement to get a new speaker, then you're delusional, because that is what would have happened. And
So in the fantasy world, Jackson Hinkle's fantasy world, the whole, like, okay, so let's so voting for Bernie in the primary, nah, that's too much work. Campaigning for Bernie in the primary, nah, too much work. But we are going to get the American people galvanized to coalesce around an obscure 15th round speakership vote. A presidential campaign, we can't win. Right? We can't win a presidential campaign. We can't get enough votes. We can't get enough people to participate to win a presidential campaign. Things that people know about. But in Jackson Hinkle's fantasy world, we're going to get like fucking, 200 million Americans to like do marches in the street over round 23 of the House speakership vote on February 3rd. Like, I mean, like, what?
And even if, Sam, this was the idea behind Force the Vote, even if it eventually, after 13, 15, 18 rounds, ended up with Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House, they still would have been able to get concessions because of the spectacle they would have drawn by delaying, and already unpopular politicians, rise to the speakership position.
So there was a movement afoot in the country.
Also, rise to the speaker. She was there by default. She's been like the leader for like fucking like almost 20 years or something. She didn't rise. It's not like she went in 2018. She was speaker like fucking in during the last Trump term, during the last Trump whatever cycle. I don't care. She didn't rise to speak. She already was
presumably by Democrats, to get a different Speaker of the House other than Nancy Pelosi. That's what you're telling me. And the spectacle created would have magically gotten them the ability to get whatever they want. Like the spectacle almost of like forcing the Republicans to filibuster a Voting Rights Act.
I'm talking about the spectacle of Representative Jeanette Rankin starting a House floor vote on women's suffrage in 1918. And because of the mass public appeal that was drawn after the introduction of that vote in the House floor debate, it started. Within 1 year, we achieved women's suffrage in this country. That's what I'm talking about.
I see. It would have been like women's suffrage to get what?
It's the strategy. It's not the fact that you have a major...
it was just a coincidence that it was about women getting the right to vote. It had nothing to do with the success of that.
Did I just not list John Boehner and the Tea Party as an example? I don't only cherry pick my examples. I mean, I just listed the Republican Party as a beautiful example of how the strategy could be employed.
How there was somebody to run against Boehner.
Sam, the idea is you delay and you potentially find someone to run against Nancy Pelosi. It doesn't matter if there's someone who wants to run. Sam, you can vote for anyone. You understand how a speakership vote works?
Yeah, I understand how the speakership vote works.
But you realize that they can vote for anyone, right?
Yeah, but
you realize that there were Democrats who voted for other Democrats who weren't actively pursuing the speakership?
Are you telling me that there was another candidate? Who was that candidate that was going to win?
Do you understand that there were Democrats who voted for other Democrats?
Nancy Pelosi gets the speakership.
Damn.
But she knows she's going to get the speakership, but that's still going to force a vote because it happened with suffragette, with women's right to vote.
So why did some, if you have to have a declared speakership, campaign, why did some Democrats vote for other? Why did some Democrats vote for other Democrats who weren't actively pursuing the speakership? If that's the case,
it can.
Oh, okay. So that's super interesting because you were saying that they couldn't employ the strategy because there was no one who was actively pursuing.
So these 6 people would have voted for somebody else.
You know that there was someone who even voted for, I believe, Tammy Duckworth, who's not even in the House.
How did she win?
Okay. Of course they could vote for somebody else.
Okay. Interesting. Because a minute ago, you just said, no one else was
all the concessions they wanted?
You were just saying no one else was pursuing the speakership.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right.
Oh my God.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you want to keep litigating this force the vote a year later. It was a failed strategy.
It's not a year later, Sam. I listed 18 different times throughout just 2021 in which they could have, as you put it, leveraged their power on given votes by blocking the passage of them. That's force the vote in a nutshell. And you're saying that force the vote was just during the speakership vote.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this is honestly like arguing.
I don't know what to tell you. You accused me earlier of being the guy who gets too attached to politicians. You are the one who gets too attached to politicians and refuses to criticize them where it matters most. Sure, you'll occasionally talk poorly when they make an abhorrent vote, but you will not criticize them on their overall strategy, which is pursuing a greasing of the wheels rather than playing hardball politics and leveraging their power.
I just don't make the assessment of their power like you do.
It's not making an assessment. It's looking at how closely these votes pass and knowing that they had enough people to block their passage.
Well, in some instances, maybe they didn't want to block their passage.
That's
I don't know what to tell
you. Yes, they're close because all members are posturing, right? Like the idea that they think it's impossible, like that the Democratic establishment is tied in with the military and the corporations and all that, which they are, right? They don't think that they can switch 2 Republicans to come over and jump, or 3 or 4 or 7. Really? Like, if they're all powerful and you're such a big Marxist-Leninist and you understand structures and power, you don't think they could scrape off 7 Republicans to get the State Department funding increase? They can't get 7 Republicans to vote for an increase of funding to the State Department? Really? You think... Like, come on now.
What's the point of the...
Like, if the world were different, the world would be different. Right, like if the squad leveraged their power, then people would know that and act differently and accordingly. Like, and then there's no reason to believe that this is a secret cheat code.
Justice Democrats, if they are not going to, and it's not necessarily about blocking.
They're more progressive.
What's the point about the Justice Democrats if they're not doing what they set out to do?
They're the most progressive members of Congress.
Is that the bar you want to set them to? That's the bar you want to judge them upon?
Yeah.
I think that's. I mean, what about when the squad was not in Congress? Did you actively support Nancy Pelosi because she was one of the most progressive in Congress?
I supported Bernie Sanders.
About the House. I'm talking about the House. We're talking about the House.
I mean, I didn't perceive Nancy Pelosi as the most progressive member. At one point, I thought she was the best. When Donald Trump came to office, I figured she might be the best person to be in the leadership while they're in the minority. But subsequent to that, I felt like I would rather have somebody who was not even progressive be in the leadership of the House. I mean, and I think to a certain extent, I know you watched the Ilhan Omar interview, you didn't quite fully understand the leadership conversation. But I think that she was implying that the leadership position should not necessarily be about whether they're progressive or not. I think it's really more about the amount of power that you can amass amongst the caucus.
So Sam, when you talk about power in the caucus,
sophomore members of Congress, 6 members of Congress just don't have that kind of power. So when you talk about the Freedom Caucus, the Tea Party people getting rid of Boehner, you're talking about
have that type of power, Sam.
who were secret members of this caucus, and we just don't have that kind of power yet.
First of all, the Republican majority at the time was much bigger than what we see today, and the squad has multiple opportunities, 18 again that I've listed, in which there was must-pass bills or near must-pass bills, in which the vote was so slim.
What is a must-pass bill in your estimation?
A must-pass bill is something that either must pass to continue with the session of Congress, such as a adoption of House rules, Speakership, House vote, or the near must-pass bills that I was referring to are things that are a top priority of the Biden administration to pass to solidify his legacy.
I mean, the must-pass bills would be something like a debt ceiling or something to that.
Sure. Avoiding government shutdowns.
Yeah.
There's been probably, I'd say, 6 or 7 of those.
Okay, now, and your argument is that if they inhibited the passage of this bill, they'd be able to get stuff each time.
Yes, that's how politics works in Congress. This is what Republicans and Democrats have done for years. This is how it works.
So in other words, like when, I don't know, like Lynn Cheney, for instance. Liz Cheney, sorry. Like when she bucks them and they reward her, is that it? She gets stuff from the Republican Party?
I think it's a little bit of a difference makeup with Liz Cheney and the Republican Party.
I'm just worried. You're telling us exactly how.
You're speaking vaguely. You're speaking vaguely. I'm talking about specific.
Oh
votes
my
that they
God!
could block.
Now Sam
You're speaking
is
about bucking the GOP
vaguely.
establishment on maybe a talking point, or maybe impeachment. Are you referring to? I don't know what you're referring to.
Yeah, impeachment, January 6th commission.
Well, the difference is Liz Cheney doesn't. In some cases, she has been able to whip even Democrats to block, some of the MAGA agenda, such as when Trump wanted to remove troops from. He wanted to do a partial removal of troops from Germany and Afghanistan. She whipped together even one of my own former congresspeople, Mike Levin from California's 49th district, to vote in unison with a plurality, I guess, of Republicans on that measure to block Trump, and it succeeded. But the difference between Liz Cheney and the squad or the Justice Democrats, whatever, is that the Justice Democrats have a set ideology. They campaign to form a faction and essentially leverage their power to carry out, their agenda or to get concessions that flow in line with their agenda. So my problem is they're not doing this, and the votes that they are passing are votes that I, entirely disagree with, such as those sanctions I mentioned, such as Capitol Police funding, the Israel Iron Dome vote.
Yeah, no,
Iron Dome vote is not one of those because that passed by such overwhelming margins.
And you wanted to debate me on this because you want me to have the same agenda that you have.
No, I want you to hold the squad to what they said they were going to do and what they said they were going to fight for. I am curious. Like, what is your preferred method of holding the squad accountable when they continue to not fight for their agenda by pursuing the strategy of leveraging their power?
If it makes sense to primary them, I would primary them. But I don't think it's worth the deployment of resources personally to primary the most progressive members of Congress.
Okay, so at what point do you maybe begin to think that instead of continuing to operate within the confines of the Democratic Party and primarying more people and ending up with the same results,
this is
something else?
What we should have had a debate about, Jackson, and I was trying to get to. Because really, if you think that the progressive Democrats in Congress are the vanguard of fascism, if you think that they are worthless, then you think the entire Democratic Party is worthless, and what you're really coming on to argue is that we should be supporting a third party.
No, when I came on to argue is the fact that the only time that you defend the squad nowadays is when you make videos about Jimmy Dore, and you know that those are the only videos that get you views. You make these videos about Jimmy Dore, at times attacking the squad, and you defend the squad, and then the only reason why you do this, though, I think, is because you want to do a hit piece on Jimmy Dore, and even though your channel has over 1 million subscribers, your only videos that get views are ones about Jimmy Dore and when you defend the squad and so on and so forth.
So, I mean, there's obviously, there's so much bullshit here, but I just love how he is accusing Sam Seder of doing things for views. I mean, let's be honest here, folks. Let's be honest. Have you ever seen the Sam Seder show? A lot of the shows are, long-form interviews about very niche things that no one's interested in, right? So, if he's going to do things for views, maybe he would, instead of producing 80% of his content that's very long form niche content, right? Maybe if his goal was views, I don't know, it's just a contradictory insult. It doesn't mean anything. At the same time, he's doing this video for views. At the same time that those are the only videos that get views, which means so he's doing it for views, but he's not doing it for views because the other videos have like it's what?
In other words, you wanted to come on and debate about.
Sam holds a major stake in YouTube, as do the Young Turks. That's why I am invested.
Well, I don't get views. I mean, so I don't know why you say I have a stake.
You get a lot of views. I just said though, you get a lot of views on the videos in which you go after Jimmy Dore for criticizing the squad.
Well, we should probably do more Jimmy Dore videos. But but that aside, is that what you want to come on to debate? That you don't like the idea that I'm doing Jimmy Dore videos?
Sam, I don't know how many times I have to say what I came on to debate. You refused to actually hold the squad accountable, and you said maybe at one point, I am going to support primarying them, but I don't think that's the best, way to leverage our power and resources. But I guess I would just pose the question, because I don't support primarying the squad. I don't support primarying Democrats right now, because I think that
why?
Because I think that the Justice Democrats are a failed strategy, and they're choosing to play party politics and pass the DNC's agenda.
Also, you just think that we should vote for third party candidates?
I think that there's other avenues we need to look into, but what I think we all need to come.
What are those other avenues? Why? This is important about this conversation.
Sam, what I think we all need to come into agreement upon is that the Justice Democrats, their strategy has failed, and the squad is now towing the line of the DNC. That's something
now,
that you
again,
still
notice
refuse.
that there's never a solution. Notice that there's never a solution to this. It's always, yes, everything that everyone you see is trying is bad. And I don't even have like a supplement to sell you. I got nothing. They're bad. You're bad. Everyone is bad. I got nothing. Give me a super chat.
Address, or even attempt to hold them accountable upon.
I disagree. You've already stated that you consider them more progressive than the Gottheimers and the Mansions of the party.
I disagree with you. You just said that you will occasionally call them out for some of the bad votes they take. There were some that I mentioned that you did not call them out over, which is okay. I don't expect you to follow like every single detail of congressional votes. But at the end of the day, you are not criticizing them for failing upon their overall strategy of forming a faction that can leverage their power in Congress, and you are instead giving them some, at least tepid support for greasing the wheels and giving $160,000 to DCCC Democrats.
Correct.
So that's why I guess you and I just disagree.
Yeah.
Would you support AOC giving more money to DCCC Democrats, even though she said she wasn't going to do that?
If she made an assessment that there was a strategic value for it, I would be okay with it.
Even if there's more opportunities to leverage their power on must-pass or near-must-pass bills?
I don't agree with your premise.
What don't you agree about it? Because do you agree that they don't have the number of votes?
Again, over and over again. I don't think
you haven't outlined it.
Is effective.
You don't think that they have enough votes, or what?
I just don't think it's going to go down the way you think it's going to go down, Jackson.
What do you mean by that?
I don't think your idea of how Congress works is how Congress works.
It is how it's worked in the past. I mean, this is how
I know, the suffragettes. Yes, I understand.
No, I wasn't going to bring that up. I was going to bring Boehner up. But the idea is that if maybe this has never happened before in Congress. Maybe, hey, Sam, maybe this has never happened before in Congress. Don't you think that they should at least try? Because this was their strategy.
When you were in junior high, I was covering every day with John Boehner.
This is very weird.
I can tell you.
I can tell you. What are you doing talking about junior high?
I'm sorry. Hold up. I got a one. Okay, hold up.
In Congress, don't you think that they should at least try?
Hold up.
Because this was their strategy.
When you were in junior high,
I don't want to talk about
covering every day with John Boehner.
This is very weird.
I can tell you.
This is very weird. I don't want to. What?
I gotta clip that. Oh my god.
Because this was their strategy.
When you were in junior high,
I don't want to
I was
talk about
covering every day with John Boehner was doing.
This is very weird.
I can tell you.
This is very weird. I don't want to. What are you doing talking about junior high? I'm talking about the fact that you changed subjects.
There was not
changing subjects.
There was not
changing subjects.
Sophomore members of Congress who eliminated John Boehner.
You are changing subjects.
No, you brought up John Boehner. You brought up John Boehner.
And then you went to this weird analogy about my middle school or
It's
something.
not an.
Oh my god. I can't do this.
What I'm talking about is the fact that
analogy is.
So you still have not outlined this.
I was saying
you
that
still have not said
very carefully what happened to John Boehner, and none of it went down the way you say it did.
Okay, first of all, that's incorrect. But second of all, you did not acknowledge what I initially questioned to you.
Which was what?
I mean, maybe if you'd listened, you'd heard me. What I said was that the squad could have blocked the passage of these bills. You have not contested that they didn't have enough votes to block or delay it.
Voted against it, yes.
Block or delay it. Okay, so you're saying they could have done
this. They could have voted against it.
They could have blocked or delayed it, yes. So why do you think that would have failed? Even if it's never happened before.
They could have voted against it, and if they had enough votes to kill the bill, they could have killed the bill.
Or they could have delayed it and renegotiated.
What do you mean delayed it?
They could have told Nancy Pelosi that we are not going to vote for this unless you give us substantive concessions. They could have gone out on CNN and MSNBC on Mehdi Hassan's show and say, I'm not prepared to vote for this bill until we get these concessions that we have listed. Don't you think that that is an effective strategy? And don't you think that's also the strategy that the Justice Democrats initially ran on?
I think that could work on occasion, but I think that Nancy Pelosi, for the most part, is beloved by Democratic voters, for better or for worse.
That's incorrect. She's got a very, very low approval rating. But
it's not true with Democratic primary voters.
Google this up.
Let's look it up.
Sam, so you just acknowledged.
For you, Jackson.
I just said she had approval rating. Did you not hear what I said?
Democratic primary voters.
I'm talking about the whole of this country. But Sam, you just said, I don't want to let you off on this. You just said,
Bradley, will you look that up and put it up?
Look it up. I could not, I don't care. So you just said that on occasion you could see how leveraging their power by either withholding their votes for a given policy could work. So why are you not criticizing the squad when they choose not to do this?
I don't think that they should do it randomly. I didn't
say randomly. I just said they could do it. And you just said that.
Jackson, there was a $3.5 trillion bill that was passed in the House that included some of the key priorities that these lawmakers wanted. And you're suggesting they're not leveraging their vote because it didn't pass in the Senate.
No, I'm saying because they are voting for bills that did pass in the House and in the Senate and were signed into law, and they're not withholding their support for those bills, like Capitol Police funding, like State Department funding, the House Speakership.
What is the value of them voting against Capitol Police funding relative to getting pre-K for people?
You just said it. You just said.
They got the pre-K.
You just said that Sam, you just said that the value in it, this is your words, that the value in it is that, yes, I could see that sometimes working. You said that.
Listen, Jackson.
How many times do you want to change the subject before you finally address that?
You're not holding them accountable. You want them to
not holding them accountable
to get stuff that they want.
It's holding them accountable, man. This is great. I can't with this. Okay, so folks, I just want to say this is almost over. I paused it a lot. But this is almost over. Very entertaining. I hope that my watch through could be also entertaining. I hope that this is a transformative entertainment piece. Reminder, I have yet to receive, as of this moment I have been canceled, I have yet to receive a feature-length film time slot on the Majority Report channel. So if that could be fixed as soon as possible, that would be great. But probably just going to wrap this up here. And get the hell out of here. So I just want to say thank you for watching. This is entertaining. And I guess I'll like the video, I guess, you know what, I can't in good conscience. Just the fact that I'll go back in time. Well, I'll just go back like without time, you don't need to get space time involved. But, I'll go back and I'll like this video once I get my feature length film slot on the Majority Report channel, then I'll go back and like this video. But for now, can't approve.
And they got it.
You just said that they could do that, though.
Yes, I agree that there is such a thing as leverage. That they can use, and I'm suggesting they've done it.
I'm suggesting to you that they haven't done it because they haven't withheld their votes. You're saying that the Build Back Better agenda is...
How do you know they didn't withhold their votes? How do you know they didn't withhold their votes and Nancy Pelosi didn't go and say, I owe you one?
And that's why they're not going harder at them like you suggested up top.
I don't think that they're doing that because if they were doing that, if they were going to be withholding their support, they would do what Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman did before the speakership vote. Do you remember what they did? They went out on was it Dana Bash's show or something like that? They went out on some corporate news show and they said that we are not going to guarantee a vote for Nancy Pelosi.
Why are you putting an accent on there? Oh, because it's Bowman. All right.
I'm putting an accent on there? What the hell is this? We are not. They went out on
Oh no.
Was it Dana Bash's show or something like that? They went out on some corporate news show and they said that we are not going to guarantee a vote for Nancy Pelosi.
Why are you putting an accent on there? Oh, because it's Bowman. All right.
I'm putting an accent on there? What the hell is this?
No! That's a sound drop. That's gotta be. Oh my god, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. Oh my god. 131:13. Oh my god. That is funny. I mean, he very clearly did an accent. It's fine if, sometimes I do accents for, politician voices, right? Even if I've done it. I do almost every time I do a quote, I'll do some kind of funny voice. I consider myself to be a funny person, right? But... Jackson Hinkle gets so defensive. He's like, I didn't do an accent. He's like... Just say that you were trying and failed to do a comedic thing. It's chill, but it's like when I was debating him and he was like, I don't have notes. I don't have goddamn notes. Like, remember? Like, and I said, well, you're very clearly reading from a screen. I know you're reading from a screen. You know you're reading from a screen. You know that I know that you're reading from a screen. So why are you bothering with it? He's doing this.
Going to guarantee a vote for Nancy Pelosi.
Why are you putting an accent on there? Oh,
we are not going to guarantee a vote for Nancy Pelosi.
Why are you putting an accent on there? Oh, because Bowman. All right.
Heather.
I'm putting an accent on there? What the hell is this? We are not going to be voting for Nancy Pelosi guaranteed unless we get substantive things in return. And they listed two.
I'm sorry, I can't with what the hell is this? It's so good.
All right.
Heather.
I'm putting an accent on there? What the hell is this?
I can't. Okay, I'm sorry. I gotta do it again.
All right.
Heather.
I'm putting an accent on there? What the hell is this? We are not going to be voting for Nancy Pelosi guaranteed unless we get substantive things in return. And they listed two things, I think. I think they listed reparations and they listed one other policy. At the end of the day, they did not coalesce and try to make these things happen. But that is what you need to do if you have big ass or you have, concessions that you want. You need to be willing to make a public cry to the people to support you in your effort. You also acknowledge that AOC has some of the most power in Congress. She's got the most fundraising. She's got the most Instagram, Twitter followers.
Okay.
So she should use that to her leverage when she makes these public cries for support when she's going to be withholding her support for these bills.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay? What is this, okay? You have one of the largest news shows on YouTube for leftist politics, and you refuse to criticize them. You just say, okay, you say, I don't care. What is this? Do you not have any values that you stand upon?
No. I don't.
Oh, no.
We done?
Let's be done.
75% Democrats support Nancy Pelosi.
That'll have a lot of value in a primary.
I'm not terribly happy about that.
Maybe we can hear more about the People's Party next.
But to be fair, that was
all right,
2 days ago. So that could,
is that it?
I thought you hung up.
Honestly, I stopped listening to.
Did I say that?
Oh, he's still here.
I mean, I think to a certain extent, like there is.
Did I say that she has?
I thought you hung up.
In the Democratic Party? Did I say that?
I don't know.
Are you putting words in my mouth?
Honestly, I stopped listening to you some time ago. To be honest with you.
That's exactly what I said. Oh my God, that's exactly what I said when I talked to him. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. That's so good.
But I appreciate.
Maybe, hey Sam. Last words here.
Sure.
Maybe listening to the people who used to be your viewers and used to be your fans, like me, should be something that you do in the future. Thank you for having me on the show.
What?
I appreciate the conversation.
What? Like, that's true, though. I will agree with Jackson Hinkle. Listen to your viewers and your fans, including me. I want hashtag. Someone get a hashtag for this. I want a feature-length film on the Majority Report. I agree with Jackson Hinkle. Force the film. I don't know.
You're still a viewer, Jackson. As far as I can tell.
What's that?
Not only are you still a viewer, but you actually show it to the people who watch your show.
Oh my God, that's so.
So
I'm not a fan of you anymore, though. That's the difference.
Jesus,
I'm sorry about that.
His heart's broken. That's just from a week.
Thank you, though. I appreciate you coming on, Jackson. I'm sorry.
All right. I'll see you guys.
Accountable.
Yeah.
You never responded to the fascism thing. Never ever.
Or the
All
fact
right,
that
folks, thank you for watching. Reminder, I only do these things if I find them entertaining. A lot of people want me to watch the Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan thing. Is that even on YouTube? Can I watch that? I don't even know how to even watch that. But sometimes when I do these long form debate reviews, man, I just feel like I want to jump off a goddamn cliff. I really, like, because it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Like, again, I'm going to be honest. Like, why hasn't the Majority Report have had, like, anyone, like 90 minutes? I mean, if I had 1 million YouTube subscribers, I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, a half serious criticism here. If, like, and it's all fun and to have these, entertaining kind of, like, just making fun of a stupid motherfucker debates, right? But, I mean, if I had 1 million YouTube subscribers, right? I mean... Let me tell you, I would have myself on a lot more. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, folks, feature length film. We got to force the film, folks. Thank you all for watching. I am gonna go. That's it.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
Honestly, Sam, if I could just get this sentence out. We can talk about Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. And I still believe in force the vote.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Sure, was a failure. Sure, was a failure. Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Force the vote, failure, 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 failure.
And then they have cans of soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup for my family. They're so innocent. This is soup for my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's a perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup for my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people.
That isn't what it meant.
Well, what did it mean actually?
It meant that it's indicative of low resolution thinking. Indicative of low resolution thinking.
Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the votes. Those votes.
It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television. Make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words.